Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. The fusion of Gojo Satoru was exposed by the school flower. Chapter 71. After simply browsing a lot of information, Luzimo also found that everyone was fine. There were no accidental deaths. At least, there is no bad news. They all reported peace. Still, think about it too. Food King, Flame Fist and others are all top-level extraordinary people. Very good at fighting. If something happened to them, it would be a big deal. As for Lin Xiaoyi, her talent is slippery. May not be able to beat. But running is definitely no problem. What's more, there is Flame Fist, and the Food King and others take care of him. So, peace is good enough. With a sigh, Luzimo also didn't want to meet again next time, and he lost a few familiar faces. And not long after having breakfast, Luzimo also walked to the living room and sat on the sofa. This is his rare break. And now, Luzimo is also on the internet. However, what surprised him was that the network didn't seem right. Only Hangchang still can't contact the outside cities. While whispering softly, Luzimo also got up and walked towards the office of the Spiritual Power Bureau. The office of the Spiritual Power Bureau is different from the quietness of the past. Today's office is very noisy. The whole city is in chaos, and the Spiritual Power Bureau needs to constantly assign extraordinary people to support. And Luoju is even bigger. Rubbing his eyebrows with a headache, Luoju also took a sip of tea. He hasn't closed his eyes for 2 days. The extraordinary are fighting on the front lines. And he fought from behind. Report, Luoju, there is a red warning in the southeast of Hangchang, the coordinates. It is suspected that there is a mutant beast who has entered the 5th level or above. Report, Luoju, there is a red warning in the northwest of Hangchang, the coordinates. It is suspected that a mutant beast with a level 7 or higher has come out. One after another, Luoju couldn't help but sigh. When will this be the end? Yes, there is no end. A steady stream of mutant beasts, as if endless, kept emerging. It is raging in every corner of the city. Some of these mutant beasts are still very powerful, and the general army and even the police are not enough to deal with them. At this time, it is the extraordinary person who needs the Spiritual Power Bureau to take action. So, the office of the Spiritual Power Bureau is constantly arranging, dispatching strong men one after another to support them in all directions. And at this moment, the office suddenly fell silent. There was just a sound of footsteps echoing. Tread, step by step. Clear and audible. Water, Luoju. Thanks. Taking the teacup handed over, Bureau Luo did not lift his head. But the next moment, as if he had reacted, Luoju was shocked. This voice. Slowly raising his head, Luoju's eyes were impressed by a young man with white hair. This is a very handsome young man. Long white hair, glowing with hazy brilliance. The blindfold that he was used to wearing on his eyes had already left at some point, revealing a pair of ice blue eyes with white mist. At a glance, it is breathtaking. And it was such a young man that made the entire office quiet. His arrival was suffocating. Even the most powerful guard held his breath when he saw him, and seemed to be nervous. Even the busiest staff, seeing him, take a deep breath. Gojo, the first person in the Spiritual Power Bureau. It is also the first terrifying existence to set foot in the transcendent realm. This person is enough to shock the entire Spirit Power Bureau. Just because, now he is the highest combat power of Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau. The absolute king. You came. In some weak voices, Luoju also asked with concern. How's your rest? Good. Having said that, Luzimo also smiled and said. What task do you need me for? That's a need to say. With a grin, Luoju also sighed. Right now, I'm too busy, and I need support everywhere. If you didn't suppress a beast swarm yesterday and were too tired, we would have asked you to come out. Having said that, Luoju also shouted to the staff not far away. Quick, bring me all the difficult support tasks, the higher the better. This is the highest combat power of our Spiritual Power Bureau, and there is no task that he can't solve. Quick, quick. In the repeated growls, Luoju was all excited. But it made Luzimo's eyes twitch uncontrollably. The difficulty of the task, the higher the better. Seriously, at this time, it seemed that he noticed Luzimo's strangeness, and Luoju also said earnestly. The greater the ability, the greater the responsibility. These few days, you should take care of yourself. Don't worry, the Spiritual Power Bureau will not treat you badly. I have arranged your treatment, and at the same time improve your welfare in all aspects. You will be in the future, is the second in command of our Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau. Forehead. After a while of silence, Lu Zimo raised his brows. He could hear the seriousness in Luo Ju's words. He is serious. So, no need, Luo Ju, these are my duties, you don't need to give me too special treatment. You're worth it. With 3 heavy words, Luo Ju did not give Lu Zimo more opportunities to speak. Go, your task is heavy. As soon as the words fell, a lot of tasks came to Lu Zimo. It is good. Without rejecting, Lu Zimo also took over the task and chose to leave. There is a saying that Lu Zimo likes very much. With great power comes great responsibility. Today, he is recognized as the strongest by the Spiritual Power Bureau. Should also bear some. Of course, the Spiritual Power Bureau did not treat him lightly. As before, Luo Ju's promise also moved Lu Zimo. Second in command. While murmuring in his heart, Lu Zimo also looked at the first task. Hangcheng and Lingu are suspected to have huge fluctuations in spiritual power. If there is no accident, Lingu, there should be a very terrifying mutant beast dormant. This needs Lu Zimo to deal with it. Hangzhou City, Lingu Lake. It is located in the corner of Hangzhou City. It's a park. Unlike the hustle and bustle of the past, the nearest park is empty. There are also many troops stationed. And not long after, riding a motorcycle, Lu Zimo also arrived at Lingu Park. It does have strong aura fluctuations. While speaking softly, Lu Zimo also noticed a very good spiritual power fluctuation from a distance. Is it entering the 7th level, or the 8th level? Not sure. However, it's not a big problem. At this time, stop coming. This place has been banned. Just as they walked to the park entrance, 2 heavily armed figures blocked Lu Zimo's way. But well, I am from the Spiritual Power Bureau. While speaking softly, Lu Zimo also took out a certificate. At this time, he looked at Lu Zimo's white hair and white eyebrows. And those icy blue eyes with white mist. Among them, a figure shook violently. Are you, Gojo? Forehead. A little stunned, Lu Zimo didn't expect to be recognized. Yes. Nodding, Lu Zimo also admitted directly. Please. In the repeated remarks, this soldier is also uncharacteristically, with a touch of excitement. Gojo ah. Although, their military and the Spiritual Power Bureau are 2 different forces. But now, the military side also knows the name, Gojo. Hangcheng, the first existence to set foot in the transcendent realm. Not only Hangzhou, even the whole country may be the first. Just, unfortunately, although communication has been restored, it is now only possible to communicate in one city. As for the restoration of communication with other cities, it will take some time. Many cables and power grids were cut. This needs to be repaired slowly in the future. Then I'll go first. After a simple greeting, Lu Zimo also walked into Lingu Park. The surrounding trees are lush. However, whether it was an illusion or not, Lu Zimo actually discovered that the trees seemed to grow a bit taller overnight. Could it be that plants have also mutated? Suddenly, Lu Zimo came to a very large lake not far away. The water of this lake is very clear. Ripples. But in Lu Zimo's perspective, it is very different. Mutant beast. Moreover, it is still a very huge mutant beast. Is it a mutant carp? While murmuring in his heart, Lu Zimo had already seen a huge, 5-meter-tall fish in the depths of the lake. His whole body was covered with fish scales, like iron pieces. Has a hard texture. But now, it swims in the depths of the lake, like a giant, dominating the entire lake. Moreover, it seems that it is not as simple as entering the 7th or 8th level. The repressed fluctuations all told Lu Zimo that it is the 9th level of entry. Even close to the peak. It is estimated that it will not be long before it will complete the breakthrough. Step into the extraordinary. So well. Step up. Crack, click. One after another, the lake surface was condensing continuously. It's cold. The cold air continued to spread. And at the next moment, Lu Zimo slowly walked to the surface of the lake. Yes, go to the lake. He has 6 eyes, and his manipulation of spiritual power has already reached the micro level. When the footsteps fell, the cold air gushed out and condensed the lake. As a result, a very terrifying scene was also printed in the eyes of the military from afar. My God, is this the top superhuman? Walking on water, freezing under your feet. It's incredible. I rub this guy. Among the repeated exclamations, far away, in a monitoring room where the military was monitoring the movements of Lingu, countless soldiers saw an extremely terrifying scene. That is, on the lake of Nuoda, there is a figure slowly walking up. Every step he took was freezing under his feet. Along the way, an ice road has condensed in the lake. What is even more astounding is that this ice road has been unbroken for a long time, and it has been continuously extended. Today, it was a clear sky, miles. However, an extremely exaggerated scene appeared in Lingu Lake in Hangzhou City. The cold air keeps spreading. The ice road that the ice has turned into is all emerging. But it's not terrible. What's really scary is that this is actually man-made. A figure, like a leisurely stroll, walking on the lake. This is the first powerhouse of the Spiritual Power Bureau, Gojo. A sudden sound came from not far away. It is a military commander in charge of this area. Yes, nodding, the person in the monitoring room also said bluntly. Gojo, it is rumored that he has stepped into the supernatural realm not long ago, and his strength is extremely terrifying. Is that so? In a murmur, this one officer also looked at the surveillance video thoughtfully. He is looking forward to the strength of Gojo. However, at the next moment, not only was he stunned, but even the others in the monitoring room were stunned. Just because they all saw. The surface of the huge lake was condensed at a speed visible to the naked eye. Yes, condensation. The lake water is constantly condensing into ice. In a blink of an eye, it is all condensed into ice in a radius of 100 meters. This, oh my God, what are you kidding? During the repeated exclamations, everyone's face changed greatly. In just a few breaths, a small half of a lake is frozen. What a power this is! But without waiting for their more exclamations, the figure on the surveillance screen moved again. He, slowly lifted up his steps. Boom. Slammed down. Shish, shish, shish. In the continuous sky-breaking space, there was actually an ice pick that stabbed into the depths of the lake. Stab, stab. Between the sound and the crisp sound, the entire lake was dyed red at a speed visible to the naked eye. It was bright red like blood. But the countless mutant beasts in the lake water shed blood. Solved. With a chuckle, Lu Zimo also saw. In the deepest part of the lake, a mutant carp several meters in size completely solidified. Looking carefully, you can see that an ice pick with a length of dozens of meters has penetrated its body. It doesn't matter what the piercing is. The key is that the cold air enters the body along the ice cone, coagulating its blood. So, it's dead. Die straight. Ding, you have killed a mutant carp that entered the 9th level, energy point plus. Among the very clear prompts, it means that a life has been silently deprived. Without hesitation. No need to hesitate. After doing this, Lu Zimo also took out a stack of materials and checked the next task. As for himself, he didn't know when he had turned around and walked towards the outside of Lingu Park. However, halfway through, Lu Zimo seemed to notice something, and Lu Zimo also looked at the two figures stationed at the entrance of the park. The mutant beasts in the lake have been resolved, and you will send someone to salvage them later. By the way, leave half of the mutant beasts to me, and you can handle the rest yourself. After explaining this, Lu Zimo also got on the motorcycle and hurried to the next mission point. He has many tasks today. Time is a little tight. No delay. As for why they gave half of the mutant beasts to the military, it was naturally a reward. Only in this way, the military will actively send the other half of the mutant beast to Lu Zimo. Of course, this doesn't mean that if Lu Zimo doesn't say it, they won't give it. However, it is not too much to eat meat and leave a mouthful of soup for others. The corpse of a mutant beast that entered the 9th level was enough to shock the military. With a heart-to-head smile, Lu Zimo also rushed to the place where the next mission was. Time passed slowly. 3 days had passed in a blink of an eye, and Hangcheng was finally stable. Not only Hangzhou, but also major cities have also stabilized one after another. Although there are countless casualties, However, there is no scene of the city being destroyed and millions of human beings displaced. This is not available in Daxia. But in other countries, it has already appeared. Australia, a total of 3 human cities fell, thousands of mutant kangaroos swept the city. Trample humans underfoot. This exceeded all expectations. However, imagination is also understandable. That's Australia. Sparsely populated, although there is a human country, it is a paradise for animals after all. And in such a continent, countless animals mutate into extremely terrifying mutant beasts, sweeping human cities. Isn't that too much? Certainly not too much. A group of mutant beasts entering the 1st and 2nd grades, or even the 3rd and 4th grades, are already moving like the wind. Those who are good at defense can even withstand a few shots without dying. And to enter the 7th or 8th level, it can even face the bullet and charge. Such a terrible existence, how can ordinary countries be able to resist? Not to mention, there are far beyond the 7th or 8th level of the entry level, the 9th level of the entry level, and even extraordinary creatures. Extraordinary, standing on top of the mundane. It can even be said that it is detached from the mundane. They are powerful in every way. Suffocating. And such existence, if raging in the city, is enough to destroy one party in an instant. You can imagine how terrifying they are. And Lu Zimo is now an extraordinary creature. He could even be the most terrifying extraordinary creature. If Lu Zimo thought about it, with his combat power, the average small city really couldn't stop it. But okay, powerful supernatural beings like Lu Zimo hardly exist. He is special after all. And on this day, Lu Zimo really ended all the tasks. 3 days, more than 80 tasks. Killing mutant beasts, more than 1,000. All are powerful. Among them, there are as many as 5 in the 9th level. As for the 8th level entry level, the 7th level entry level is even more numerous. That is Lu Zimo, and if it were another extraordinary first-order powerhouse, I am afraid that he would already be scarred. And he, 3 days later, sitting on the sofa in the office of the Spiritual Power Bureau, drinking coffee leisurely. He was wearing a black uniform and could not see a single scar. You can't even see the slightest bit of exhaustion. On the opposite side of him, a burly figure like a brown bear, but a white bandage wrapped around his arm, and the blood overflowed through the bandage. It's also a first-order extraordinary. The gap between the two of you is a bit big. Among the rare jokes, Luo Ju, who was sitting not far away, also had a bad smile on his face. Forehead. Silence, dead silence. The corners of the war pig's eyes were twitching incessantly. In the past few days, he also became acquainted with Luo Ju and Lu Zimo. And as the top powerhouse sent from above, he is to assist Hengcheng in suppressing mutant beasts. During the 3 days, he also completed more than 40 tasks. Although it is less than half completed than Lu Zimo. But he also lost the demeanor of an extraordinary first-order powerhouse. Here comes the problem. The same as the extraordinary first order, one is light and light, not injured at all. The other is bandaged and breathless. Ah! In the middle of a deep sigh, the war pig also complained. Not everyone is like that monster. Yes, monsters. Although, we have only known each other for a few days. But War Pig thinks Lu Zimo is a real monster. Can you think about it? For 3 days, I did not know how many times I had fought with mutant beasts. But until now, he has never been injured once. Get money, Zhao. This guy, simply inhuman. Even if he was as powerful as him, he could be described as rough-skinned and thick-skinned. Why are you injured? In a somewhat curious voice, Lu Zimo also put down the teacup in his hand and looked at this burly figure. War pigs, the people who came down from the imperial capital, were mainly to assist Hengcheng and suppress the beast tide. A nice guy. Although the fluctuation of spiritual power is extremely unstable, it is indeed an extraordinary first order. Moreover, his character is also decapitated. Even if Luo Ju was joking, he wouldn't care. And now, listening to Lu Zimo's answer, he also speaks bluntly. Last night, there was a sudden outburst of beasts in the mountains over there. I rushed in alone and was hit by a mutant wild boar. I was also bitten by a mutant wolf a few times. Changed to other extraordinary first order, it is estimated that life has been explained. Having said that, the war pig couldn't help but feel lingering fears. Next time, He won't play like this when he kills him. Too dangerous. So it is. Somewhat stunned, Lu Zimo also glanced at the war pig. Well, with this guy's temperament, it is estimated that it is really possible to rush directly into the beast tide. A little silly. This is Lu Zimo's evaluation of war pig. However, this is also an interesting person. Like now. When I'm healed, we'll play a game. Licking the corners of his mouth, a look of interest appeared on his face, and the war pig looked at Lu Zimo with excitement. Fighting with monsters like this is definitely exciting. Okay. Nodding, Lu Zimo did not refuse. He is also looking forward to fighting against such a strong man. But, to be honest, can he really make 3 moves in Lu Zimo's hands? In this regard, Lu Zimo expressed doubts. While Lu Zimo and others were renovating, they didn't know that the magic capital, a metropolis not far from Hangzhou, there are some undercurrents surging. Right now, it's midnight. Magic as always. Occasionally there are mutant beasts gushing out, and they will be suppressed immediately. Different from Hangchang. As an international metropolis, the magic capital is full of all aspects. There are thousands of supernatural beings alone in the magic capital. And now, that number is skyrocketing. As for other powers, like military, it's terrifying. Even on both sides of the river, there are turrets. Even, there are countless helicopters cruising in the night sky. It's just, at this time, the area along the coast of the magic capital that no one noticed. Countless black crabs the size of orange cats kept appearing from the sea. Their numbers are terrifying, like a black tide, sweeping the entire coast. Thousands, or tens of thousands, nobody knows. However, this is not all, just because in the other direction, there are countless black sea snakes like sharp swords. Their numbers are also exaggerated. Fizz, fizz. Hiss, hiss. Between the continuous neighs, the entire coastal is filled with a chilling breath. However, at this time, if you pay attention, you will definitely find that among these countless mutant sea snakes, there is actually a very huge giant python. It is more than 10 meters long. When the posture swings, the beach vibrates. What's even more shocking is that its eyes are as cold as a beast. The snake pupils flickered, as if they were looking at everything around them. And at the next moment, as if he had discovered something, this mutant python also looked towards the sky. There, a reconnaissance plane with humans. Hiss. It was very shocking. In the roar of a person, this very huge mutant sea python actually opened its mouth. Between the throats, a flash of light was locked. Immediately after, boom, only a loud noise was heard, and there was actually a water column as thick as a bucket, slicing across the sky for dozens of meters, and in the middle of the reconnaissance plane. And at the same time, Magic City, a very mysterious monitoring room. Zzzz. Suddenly there was a crisp sound, and one screen was completely blacked out. What happened? What's wrong? What happened? Among the repeated inquiries, many people responded. It's just, at this time, that something creepy happened, and one of the staff couldn't help but widen their eyes. Oh my God. In disbelief, one of the staff members was already stupid. And at this time, looking from his perspective, you can actually see that there are countless mutant sea beasts on each screen, like a black tide, spreading toward the entire beach. Their numbers are exaggerated. Thousands of meters of coast, in just a short while, shrouded. And now, CDDD. They are even more terrifying, marching towards the city. Ding, red alert, red alert. A super large mutant sea beast has been found along the coast. Ding, red alert, red alert. A super large mutant sea beast has been found along the coast. Ding, red alert, red alert. A super large mutant sea beast has been found along the coast. The repeated prompts echoed throughout the monitoring room in an instant. It is even more alarming, all forces in the magic capital. Supernatural Power Bureau, Army, Police. Countless forces received the news immediately. But when they received the news, they didn't know that a war that had never happened before had already started on the coast. Boom, boom, boom. The earth was shaking, awakening countless soldiers stationed along the coast. But the next moment, he opened his sleepy eyes, but he was stunned. A black crab the size of an orange cat appeared in front of him. Crack. Before he could even react, the black pliers aimed at his neck, and then, blood spurted out, and a figure slowly fell down. but not waiting for this figure to fall down completely. Crack, kick, between the crisp sounds, countless crabs drowned his corpse violently. When they left, a white bone appeared. Invasion, invasion. Quick, prepare to defend, prepare to defend. In the midst of repeated exclamations, the entire coast was shaking. However, after all, it is a beast tide that has never been encountered before. Moreover, the magic capital has always been calm, and there has been almost no war. Therefore, their defense is somewhat cramped, somewhat slow. Wait until the air defense alarms, fire alarms, etc. all the alarms go off. Thousands of mutant sea beasts have swept the entire coastline and rushed towards the city. What? Don't want. Who can save me? I don't want to die. What are these? In the midst of the very mournful screams, countless figures stationed on the coast turned into bones in the blink of an eye. But more mutant sea beasts still swept in continuously. Hit me hard. Hit me hard. In the midst of a sudden violent drink, it was the coastal commander who came. And in the next moment, tug tug, chug tug, da da da, da da da. The machine gun spewed flames. Countless bullets were like raindrops, shrouding the black beast tide in the distance. Squeaky, squeaky. In the midst of the repeated screams, there are countless mutant sea beasts, which turned into sieves for the first time. After all, it is just a group of low-level mutant beasts, not enough to resist bullets. So, when humans started to fight back, the entire coastline was filled with blood. Look carefully. There are also missiles one after another, cutting through the night sky. The missile dragged its tail flame and slammed down. Boom, boom. During the continuous loud noises, there were terrifying explosions in a radius of tens of meters. And the terrifying waves and missile fragments engulfed dozens of mutant sea beasts in an instant. Only, at this moment, fizz. In the midst of the terrifying neigh, it was the mutant sea python that was more than 10 meters long, and there was a humanized look of anger on its face. Fizz, sizzle. In the midst of the increasingly terrifying neighing, this mutant sea python slapped the beach violently with its tail. Stupid shock. The fluctuations of people's spiritual power are actually gushing out. Immediately after, countless water arrows 2 or 3 meters long condensed in the air. Shish, shish, shish. In the midst of the repeated piercings, the water arrows smashed out of the air and collided with a lot of missiles. A violent explosion appeared in midair. What is shocking is that more water arrows flew towards the fort. Boom. With the loud noise, the terrifying impact of the water arrows shattered this fort in an instant. Extraordinary is an extraordinary mutant sea beast. This turned out to be an extraordinary first-order mutant sea python. Exclamations continued, and the Monitoring Bureau, which was monitoring the coastline from a distance, also noticed this very terrifying spiritual power fluctuation. Up to 30,000 spiritual power fluctuations. This is definitely an extraordinary mutant beast. At this time, Lu Zimo, who was still drinking tea at the Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau, also received the news. This is what the director of Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau came and said in person. Magic City, a large beast wave broke out. What? Somewhat stunned, Lu Zimo was also puzzled. The magic capital is a coastal city, and there are no mountains around it. How could there be so many mutant beasts? However, at the next moment, as if thinking of something, his eyes narrowed suddenly. It's the sea. Nodding his head, Luo Ju, the director of Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau, also said solemnly. From the ocean, countless mutated crabs, mutated lobsters, mutated sea pythons, flooded the coastline. Now, the magic capital is organized to resist. However, this sudden outbreak of beast tide is a bit tricky, and there are several extraordinary beasts in it. Listening quietly, Lu Zimo was also silent. He is waiting. Waiting for Luo Ju's next words. Although these extraordinary sea beasts can't fight our missiles, or even others, if we want, we can annihilate them at any time. But the meaning of the above is that these extraordinary beasts keep the whole body. It is best to capture them alive, so that they can study the extraordinary mysteries. Sound after another, Luo Ju also looked at Lu Zimo and said bluntly. Go and help, and go with a few good hands. With your strength, it's not difficult to catch an extraordinary sea beast alive. I see. Nodding, Lu Zimo did not refuse. Exactly, he needs to test his own combat power. It's okay to take a walk. As for not being able to, the magic capital and Shanghai are only a few dozen kilometers away. Take your time, half an hour is enough. This is also the reason why Lu Zimo is needed to support the Magic Power Bureau. He can. Moreover, his combat power is also needed there. It's just that what makes Lu Zimo curious is how the Magic Power Bureau knows about him. At this time, he seemed to have noticed Lu Zimo's thoughts, and Luo Ju's face turned red as he explained. We, the directors of the Spiritual Power Bureau, all have a group. You have broken through. I'm going to be squeamish, let's go. In the past few days, the other directors have been sour. Listening quietly, Lu Zimo raised his brows. All right. He was speechless. Show off. Everyone will. As for Luo Ju, it was normal for them to have extraordinary walks from the Spiritual Power Bureau. So, Lu Zimo expressed understanding. Just, now. No more time to waste. After simply saying hello to a friend from the Spiritual Power Bureau, Lu Zimo hurried towards the magic capital. Along with him is the Flame Fist. He said that he wanted to see the big scene. Moreover, his strength is also entering the 9th level, which is considered extremely good. So it's okay to go together. As for the War Pig, he is injured, so he will stay in Hangchang for the time being. If necessary, he can also shoot. And not long after that, on the highway, the two locomotives kept pace. Are you about to break through? Almost. In a soft reply, in response to, flames also ignited around Yanquan. For a moment, his entire locomotive was shrouded in terrifying flames. However, upon closer inspection, these flames did not ignite his locomotive. And this is the one-handed control ability that Yanquan intentionally showed. Only with absolute control over the flames can this be done. Good. With a chuckle, Lu Zimo is also amazed. Flame Fist's talent is terrifying. If it wasn't for his birth, Yanquan would still be the #1 person in Hangchang. This guy's talent, placed in the country, should also be at the top. Also, he works hard. Just, that's not enough. At least, think it wasn't enough to catch him. Accelerating sharply, with the roar of the accelerator, Lu Zimo actually rode the motorcycle, turned into an arrow off the string, and shot towards the distance. Hey, in front of you. In the sudden exclamation, it was Yanquan who saw that not far away, countless vehicles were messing up the highway intersection. Here, it should be the time when the tide of spiritual power was set off, and countless cars were involved in car accidents. Until now, you can see a lot of cars emitting black smoke. At this time, if Lu Zimo rushed over like this, although it won't happen, but without waiting for more details from Yanquan, Lu Zimo actually accelerated again in the middle of the roar of the accelerator. Follow me. With a chuckle, Lu Zimo's chill was also surging. And in the next moment, the ice was actually condensing continuously. It crossed countless vehicles and turned into a very long ice bridge. Yes, ice bridge, across many vehicles. And Lu Zimo actually rode on this ice bridge, rushing towards the distance at an extremely terrifying speed. Forehead, silence, complete silence. Especially looking at the ice bridge, which is still expanding in the distance, Yanquan was completely stunned. Is this him? He has mastered the power to such a degree. The cold is on the way, continuously spreading. During the long silence, Yanquan couldn't help but laugh. This is what he is chasing. Thinking like this, Yanquan also rode along the ice bridge, crossing the very congested traffic. Time passed slowly, and half an hour had passed in the blink of an eye. And now, Lu Zimo and Yanquan are also approaching the magic capital. It's just that what they didn't know was that at a high altitude, a drone had already detected their movements. My God, look! A sudden exclamation came from the Demon City Monitoring Bureau. Looking at Sheng Yin, amidst the stunned gazes of countless staff members, two black locomotives shot down the highway unexpectedly. The problem is that the highways are already congested. How could they possibly be driving extremely fast on the highway? Zoom in, let me see. In the midst of the repeated shouts, the director of the Magic City Monitoring Bureau also came. And at the next moment, the video is constantly zooming in. In the end, all eyes are on the video. In that video Two locomotives, one behind the other, driving at extreme speed. And where they passed, there was an ice road spreading. Yes, ice road. Do not. It's more like an ice bridge that spans all the vehicles. This, my God, what a mastery this is. The cold air is surging, and the ice bridge is the road. He has to freeze the ice quickly. In the midst of repeated exclamations, the entire Demon City Monitoring Bureau could not help but lose their voices. At this time, someone asked, "Where is this superhuman from?" "Hangchang, if my guess is good, he should be Hangchang's first arrogant, Gojo." As he said that, the director of the Spiritual Power Monitoring Bureau also focused his eyes on the long white hair that is the symbol of the youth in the video. Gojo, now the first extraordinary person in Hangzhou. The first to step into the transcendent realm. It was several hours earlier than the strongest genius in their magic capital, the Ice Girl. And, according to rumors, this guy Gojo is beyond imagination. It is by no means comparable to ordinary extraordinary people. Now, just looking at this power of control, it is definitely not something that ordinary extraordinary people can do. Not to mention, the Ice Girl of their magic capital is best at manipulating ice. The chill that pervaded her body even froze a lake. But the problem is, the director of the Monitoring Bureau has never seen such terrible manipulation in her. And, more importantly, Gojo's #1 talent doesn't seem to be ice manipulation. This guy is even scarier than I imagined. In the sigh, the director of the Monitoring Bureau instructed the staff, saying, "You arrange reconnaissance planes to guide them and get them to the battlefield as soon as possible." "Yes, sir." In unison's response, the staff was already operating the reconnaissance plane, and flew towards Lu Zimo and others. And at this moment, as if he noticed something, Lu Zimo, who was on his way, was also slightly startled. Slowly raising his eyes, a black instrument actually flew down from the sky slowly, and even flew directly in front of him. Forehead. During the silence of the array, Lu Zimo had already heard the voice of Yanquan. "It's the reconnaissance plane of the Spiritual Power Bureau. He should lead us. Follow him." "Good." 33. The sound responded, and the two people also followed the reconnaissance plane and rushed in the other direction. And this time, in the middle of the night, a terrible war broke out in the coastal area of the magic capital. Boom, boom, boom. In the midst of the repeated roars, one after another fighter planes burst into the air, dropping pieces of artillery shells. Boom, boom, boom. Only one loud noise followed by another was heard, and the terrifying explosion kept rising, almost drowning the small half of the battlefield. Accompanied by it, countless mutant sea beasts were flying with their flesh and blood. It's just that, in the battlefield of suppression on this side. But there are a few behemoths that are particularly eye-catching. There is a mutated sea python, which is more than 10 meters long, and when its posture swings, it rolls up the sand and dust in the sky. The surrounding is filled with the element of water. Visible to the naked eye, one after another, several meters of water arrows surround it. And, a very big black crab. He is 5 meters high and about 12 or 3 meters long. From a distance, it looks like a giant. Even more frightening is that pair of eyes like antenna masts, constantly looking around. At this time, the huge black crab suddenly tapped the ground with its huge feet, and the next moment, a huge ball of water slowly floated up. And it turned into a neatly floating ice in an instant. More than a dozen ice arrows about 1 meter long formed. Immediately, there was a huge sound of breaking the air, and it flew towards the forts in the distance. Boom, boom, boom. In the midst of the repeated roars, the fort turned into an ice sculpture in the blink of an eye. Even with a lot of human figures are frozen. These extraordinary creatures are really tricky. Furthermore, it is also required to be caught alive as much as possible. Clenching his fists, the senior officer in charge of the coastline also showed dissatisfaction. Such a scorching battlefield, even asked to be captured. 0.00. According to what he meant, it should be covered by artillery fire and directly beheaded. However, considering that this is the era of spiritual energy recovery, the first extraordinary creature to appear, he is also somewhat helpless. Direct beheading is for now. Can be caught alive, but for the future. So well, hold on first, wait until the supernatural supports, the Ice Girl and the others have already come. A sound of response, a deputy also stepped forward. Come on. While whispering softly, this senior officer also raised his eyes. Finally, he saw. I saw. The distant battlefield, there are some figures coming. Unlike ordinary soldiers holding guns, they were all wearing black trench coats with icy faces. The hand holding is either a long sword or a long knife. Even more unarmed. But it was the arrival of such a group of people, but the beast tied in the corner of the battlefield was forced to retreat. Give me death. In the sudden violent shout, a figure holding a huge hammer suddenly jumped up, jumping to a height of several meters. Then, boom, accompanied by a terrifying roar, the earth cracked, and a terrifying air wave was violently raised. Even the mutant crabs the size of dozens of orange cats flew out backwards. There were even several mutant crabs that could not even react and turned into blood foam. This is the hammer, the top superhuman in the magic capital, although he has only entered the 8th level. But his talent is infinite, with dozens of times more power than ordinary people. With a single blow, not to mention these mutant beasts, even if they are supernatural beings entering the 9th level, they would not dare to resist. And on the other side, boom, in an instant, a pair of wings with a length of 4 or 5 meters spread out behind the back of a petite figure. Fly away. With a chuckle, countless black feathers shot down like raindrops. Shish, shish, shish. Just listening to the repeated bursts of air, there are actually countless mutant crabs, turned into sieves. Falling feathers. Another, a top Superman. Talent, wings, has a pair of wings that do not belong to human beings. In the Spiritual Power Bureau, her code name is an angel. If her wings are white, I am afraid that she will be mistaken for an angel who came to the world. It's just that among these many extraordinary people, there is nothing more striking than a beautiful figure. She is wearing a white military cap, wearing a white trench coat. His eyes were cold, and his ice blue hair that was more than 1 meter long, flew up. But now, looking at the thousands of mutant sea beasts, she seemed to be excited. There was a touch of excitement on his face. No hesitation, no need to hesitate. This ice queen finally moved. Suddenly, the air was broken, and an ice blade made of ice was condensed in her palm. The ice blade was lifted up, and it took advantage of the trend to slash. Stab. Just listening to the sound of a crisp sound, a mutant crab the size of an orange cat has been divided into 2. What's even more terrifying is that no liquid burst out. Some are just cold, freezing the corpse. But this is just the beginning. Snowstorm. With a tender voice, she was caught in the wind and snow, and she rushed into the horde of beasts by herself alone. Wherever you pass, the wind and snow are flying and turning into sharp knives. Strangle everything. And she raised the long knife and slashed again and again. This is the Ice Girl. The legendary, 20-0, Ice Queen, with the blood of belligerence flowing in her body, advocates the ultimate battle. And now, the beast tide is her stage. Of course, her goals are also clear. The mutant sea python in the distance was her prey. Supernatural, but a good hunter. Licking her mouth, the Ice Girl also showed anticipation. The war continues. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. The artillery fire continued, submerged most of the coastline, and there were countless machine guns, constantly spewing flames. This is the magic capital. World-class city. One of the busiest cities. Its defensive power is beyond imagination. If such a city could not resist even a beast tide, it would be too ridiculous. So, resisting and even suppressing the beast tide is a must. Suppressing the entire beast tide is only a matter of time. If it wasn't for the sudden order issued by the above, which needs to be captured alive, these supernatural mutant sea beasts, I am afraid that the entire beast tide will be suppressed within half an hour. It's just, now, several extraordinary level mutant sea beasts are raging on the battlefield. From time to time, it is even more difficult to destroy drones and even artillery batteries. Sir, the Ice Queen is about to shoot. In the sudden reminder, everyone's eyes were focused on a shadowy figure on the battlefield. She was wearing a white trench coat, wearing a white military cap, holding a 2-meter-long ice skate. As if entering the realm of no one, the entire beast tide was torn apart. And this is the Ice Queen, the first strong person to set foot in the transcendent realm in the magic capital. Moreover, her talent is not simple. She is an extremely rare S-rank ability. The talent he possesses is an S-rank talent, absolute zero. According to legend, if she cultivated to the extreme, she could even freeze time. Although this is an exaggeration. But it is enough to know how terrifying this one is. And now, with her ice blade in hand, she jumped up. Behead me. While the sound was tender, the ice blade in his hand turned into a giant of dozens of meters, ruthlessly slashing towards the mutant sea python not far away. Hiss! A shrill neigh resounded between heaven and earth. It also shocked countless figures. That mutant sea python, which seemed to be invincible, was actually bleeding. Blood spurted out several meters high. Looking up, the ice blade tens of meters long had already slashed into the body of the mutant sea python. Unfortunately, after all, this is a mutant sea python that has set foot in the extraordinary realm. Hiss! In the midst of the increasingly terrifying neigh, the rich water attribute spiritual energy continued to spurt. Boom! In the sudden loud noise, water columns as thick as several buckets spewed out. Boom! Along with the terrifying impact, the Ice Maiden blocked the terrifying impact of the water with a knife. But at the next moment, snapped. There was a sudden crisp sound, but it was an extremely terrifying snake tail attacking, and it was even more ruthlessly drawn on the Ice Queen. This, my God, no, how can that be? Repeated exclamations, countless people cannot help but stunned. As powerful as the Ice Queen, is she also invincible to these extraordinary creatures? Just, the next moment, they were stunned, just because the Ice Queen, who was being pumped away, actually stood up slowly. A flash of madness flashed in the depths of his eyes. This is the prey I'm looking forward to. The laughter from the bottom of my heart echoed in the night sky. The more and more terrifying chill spread between heaven and earth. At the same time, Yu Ziyu raised his brows as if he had noticed something. What is this shocking spiritual power fluctuation? Among the stunned eyes, Lu Zimo also raised his eyes and looked into the distance. It has the smell of the sea. There is also indescribably wet. It should be the battlefield direction. From a distance, Lu Zimo is able to see the fluctuations of countless spiritual powers. This is terrible. Under 6 eyes, everything is clear. Everything is clearly visible. Moreover, Lu Zimo was able to see several extremely powerful spiritual powers rising into the sky. They are like candles in the dark, so bright and bright. And now, the corners of his mouth were slightly upturned, setting off a subtle arc, and Lu Zimo also accelerated sharply. You take your time, I'll go first. While speaking softly, Lu Zimo also went straight to the battlefield. Time passed slowly, and in the blink of an eye, minutes passed. Lu Zimo finally got close to the field. Can be heard far away, the roar of artillery fire. There is even more smoke. Squeaky, 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 squeaky. The sound followed by a sound, it should be countless mutant sea beasts, neighing. However, listening to this neigh, Lu Zimo was also able to detect the battlefield, which is not optimistic. Of course, this is relative to mutant sea beasts. In front of the powerful artillery fire of human beings, the mutant sea beasts that are initially mutated are not enough to see. So, it's too late to lose. It's just a matter of time. What's really scary is that in the future, the speed of evolution of mutant beasts is much faster than that of humans. Therefore, the more time passes, the more terrifying the mutant beasts are. When the mutant beast kings like natural disasters walk out, the real disaster begins. But that day is too far away. Now, the most important thing is in front of you. Kill. Amid the roar, Lu Zimo is also speeding up, rushing straight into the field. The locomotive is roaring. Like an arrow from the string, it flew straight away. And at this time, the battle, the field, on. Death to me. With a long whistle, the big man known as the Iron Hammer also held a sledgehammer and smashed it ruthlessly on the battlefield. Every time he fell, the ground cracked. Countless dust was flying. The naked eye can only, the mutant sea beasts are all turned into meat patties. But, at this moment, the hammer was stunned. This sound. In some stunned voices, Hammer also looked back. In his eyes full of astonishment, there was actually a black locomotive, rushing towards it at high speed. Forehead. Silence. Really silent. Hammer's eyes widened, full of astonishment. Not only him, not far away, other extraordinary people were also stunned. Who is this guy? Haven't seen it. Ride a motorcycle and go to battle. Are you kidding me? This. In the repeated exclamations, they saw that this black locomotive was like an arrow off the string, rushing straight to the battlefield. Obviously the beach coast. The road is rough. But this black locomotive is actually walking on the ground. Even more exaggerated is, the mutant sea python, who only entered the 8th level, stood in front of the body of this machine. Be careful. Hey, that's, run, exclaimed again and again, with a touch of worry. The faces of many extraordinary people also changed greatly. But at this moment, I saw this, a figure riding a motorcycle, with black hair. It gradually turned into snow white. Accompanied by it, an indescribable force is surging. Yes, can't tell. And in the next moment, everyone's eyes were frozen. I saw that, wherever this locomotive passed, countless mutant sea beasts seemed to have been hit by an invisible impact, and they kept flying upside down. Not yet approaching. Boom, boom, boom. There were more than 20 mutant sea pythons, as if they were knocked flying. Among them, there was also a mutant sea python several meters long. Seriously, still kidding. Chi-Chi was stunned, and even the people who were paying attention to this place from a distance widened their eyes. Who is this? What are you kidding? Riding a motorcycle and crashing everything. This is his ability. Motorcyclist. Wait, his pale hair, shouldn't he be? In the repeated exclamations, an extraordinary person seemed to recognize Lu Zimo's identity. White hair. It's like looking out of the comics. Isn't this the famous Gojo from Hangchang? Gojo. The first person in Hangchang. And the magic capital is not far from Hangzhou, so naturally I have heard the name. Therefore, many people also recognized him for the first time. It's just that, before they talk more, Lu Zimo is also in acceleration. Boom, boom, boom. In the violent roar of the engine, Lu Zimo's hysteria has been started again and again. Cooperate with the infinite spells arranged around him. One hit and one hit. Unstoppable, no matter what level of mutant sea beast, this moment is in front of Lu Zimo's motorcycle. All were knocked off one by one. Even the mutant sea beasts entering the 7th or 8th level are no exception. Under Lu Zimo's powerful infinity spell, he had to step aside. That's it. Lu Zimo is like a god of war. In the repeated exclamations of countless extraordinary people and ordinary people, they drove directly to the center of the battlefield. And Lu Zimo who came to the center of the battlefield. At this time, there was not even a mutant sea beast around, and with those looks like in the comics, it directly formed a unique landscape in the battlefield. Such a big move. Even the ice girl who was fighting couldn't help but look sideways. Looking at where Lu Zimo was, his eyes flashed with brilliance. This strength is indeed terrifying. The soft narration was full of astonishment. Because the ice girl is on Lu Zimo, I felt an aura of danger that I had never seen before. This was not even brought to him by the extraordinary sea beasts in the beast tide. And now, it appeared on a young man. Lu Zimo with 6 eyes turned on is very sensitive. Instantly caught the eyes of the ice girl. Only, what made him a little unexpected was that the ice girl was emitting a chill all over her body at this time. It was even deeper than himself. Interesting. The corners of Lu Zimo's mouth rose, and he looked at the ice girl with admiration in his eyes. Although, the ice is not his first talent. However, he was surprised that someone could surpass him at this stage. But, at this time, there were just too many sea beasts, as if they were endless. Although Lu Zimo bounced off them, the ones behind still rushed up again, not afraid of death. Crabs wielding giant claws, sea beasts with sharp fangs, and more. Too weak. Feeling the strength of these mutant sea beasts, Lu Zimo didn't even have the desire to shoot. If you waste your spiritual power on dealing with these garbage sea beasts, it will be meaningless. So, Lu Zimo directly aimed at a crab that was several meters high and had a horizontal length of more than 10 meters not far away. No doubt, this is an extraordinary mutant sea beast. 2 huge iron pincers, like the scythe of the god of death, were constantly waving, reaping the lives of the soldiers. And its black crab shell is like armor, resisting the damage of guns and ammunition. Let the defending soldiers complain endlessly. But the superiors say they want to catch them alive. Therefore, large-scale weapons cannot be used, and the mutant crab can only be allowed to show off its power. But now, call out. Not far away, Lu Zimo moved. In an instant, Lu Zimo appeared directly in front of the mutant crab. Over 10 meters in 1 second, this is the use of the infinite technique. Next moment, Lu Zimo gave a loud roar. Countless spiritual powers poured out from Lu Zimo's body. With Lu Zimo as the center, a strange energy is continuously released. Boom! With a loud noise, the mutant crab was bounced off 100 meters. This scene directly left countless people stunned. This power is even more terrifying than heavy weapons. However, Lu Zimo has not stopped. Leaping forward, across a distance of nearly 100 meters, he threw a punch. I saw that on Lu Zimo's huge fist, countless black lightnings were entwined around it. This is Black Flash, a general attack like a crit, which collapses the mountain with great force. Even when the punch was blasted out, the turbulent wind it brought up directly overturned countless mutant sea beasts. Influenced, there are countless extraordinary people with extraordinary talents and extraordinary strength. This moment, they experienced the horror of Lu Zimo's strength and looked at the handsome figure with difficulty. The pupils were filled with shock and fear. Quote. Before there was time to give everyone time to think, Lu Zimo's punch had already hit the mutant crab with a loud bang. The mutant crab was knocked into the air again, its huge mouth full of fangs, constantly bubbling out sticky foam. Moreover, the crab shell, which was originally indestructible, was directly smashed by Lu Zimo's punch at this moment. Crab shells continue to crack, forming terrifying and complex cracks, revealing fresh and tender white meat. At this moment, those superhumans who were pressed to the ground by Lu Zimo's fist finally got out. Looking at the abnormally miserable mutant crab, I was horrified inside. Is this the power of man? One punch. What a joke. The entrained fist style almost crushed me to death. Except for the mutant crab, they should be the people who understand Lu Zimo's horror the most at this moment. The terrifying pressure, the suffocating fist wind, at that moment, even made them feel the breath of death. Even many soldiers who were holding guns and kept firing stopped subconsciously at this time. Looking at the mutant crab tortoise shell that was smashed by Lu Zimo's punch, he was stunned. That boy, it only took one blow to smash the crab shell that they couldn't break even with all their hard work. Lu Zimo at this moment. It has really become a lot of attention, extraordinary people, ordinary soldiers, the leadership of the magic capital, and even people all over the world who are watching the live broadcast. They all focused their attention on Lu Zimo. Lu Zimo looked at the mutant crab that fell in the distance, struggled constantly on the ground, whimpered in pain, and there was no emotion in his pupils. These intruders should kill. Moreover, these are also the sources of its energy points. Without hesitation, Lu Zimo put his hands together. In an instant, in the battlefield, the cold air surged, and countless mutant sea beasts and the people who were fighting on the scene couldn't help shivering. Then, an ice thorn tens of meters long fell from the sky. Prick! The ice thorns are sharp and sharp, flashing with a dazzling cold light, at a speed invisible to the naked eye, piercing the body of the mutant crab. Nail it directly in place, unable to move. Ow! The mutant crab suddenly let out a shrill whine, and its 8 legs and 2 teams of huge iron pincers struggled desperately. However, to no avail, the ice thorns remained motionless. Even, a cold air continued to spread, and the body of the mutant crab condensed a layer of ice crystals, which completely imprisoned the struggle of the mutant crab. Silence. True silence. Countless people widened their eyes and looked stunned. An extraordinary first-order mutant crab was beaten in the hands of Lu Zimo and was unable to fight back. Whether it is strength or 200 speed. Rolling, all-round rolling. For a time, countless people were horrified. Is that what Gojo is capable of? It's too outrageous. This mutant crab is like playing in his hands. How exactly did he cultivate? Even the Tianzhou ice girl who was not far away looked at Lu Zimo with a serious look. So easily defeated an extraordinary first-order mutant sea beast. She can't do it. Not only the ice girl, but at this moment, countless local geniuses who belong to the magic capital are subconsciously comparing themselves with Lu Zimo. But it was found that it was not an opponent. Not an opponent at all. Among the 3 moves just now, no matter which move Lu Zimo unleashes, there is only one fate for them. That is, death. Demon City War Room. Cheers at this time. Very good. Caught it, an extraordinary first-order mutant beast. This Gojo is really amazing. It's more than amazing, it's terrifying. Hang Cheng is lucky. However, amid the successive cheers, there was a middle-aged man whose expression was extremely heavy. He is the director of the General Bureau of Magical Power. Now, there is a beast tied in their demon city, and the first extraordinary first-order mutant sea beast caught is not a person from their demon city, but a genius boy from Hangzhou. Doesn't this mean that their Magic City's Spiritual Power Bureau is not as good as Hangzhou's Spiritual Power Bureau? And Lu Zimo single-handedly slapped the entire Magic City Spirit Power Bureau. Hey, the head of the Magic City Spiritual Power Bureau gave a wry smile, looking at Lu Zimo's figure, and then at the Ice Girl's figure. I have to admit that there are differences. And the difference is huge. And at this moment, on the battlefield, Lu Zimo's figure stood silently, looking at the dead extraordinary crab corpse. His eyes became more and more excited. To the end. Roar. Lu Zimo let out a long howl. The whistling sound shook the entire battlefield, whether it was a mutant sea beast or a person. At this moment, the spirit was suddenly shocked. And Lu Zimo only felt an unprecedented feeling sweeping the whole body. This hearty battle and unscrupulous shots made him feel free. This is the fight. But the war continues. After getting rid of an extraordinary first-order mutant crab, Lu Zimo is eyeing another mutant crab. It is also an extraordinary first order. Moreover, it is bigger than the one just solved. There is no doubt that the strength is also stronger. In the extraordinary first order, there are also strengths and weaknesses. As for a low-level creature like a mutant sea beast, there is no doubt that the easiest way to judge is its size. Call out. Lu Zimo's figure flashed, and he came directly to the mutant crab. Prepare to repeat the trick. However, Lu Zimo's fighting style just now attracted the attention of the mutant sea beast. Extraordinary creatures already have a certain amount of wisdom. After research, it is at least the intelligence of human children around 10 years old. So, at this moment, after witnessing Lu Zimo easily defeat a similar one, fear arose inside. I actually chose to run away. In the moment of feeling the lock of Lu Zimo's breath, hiding behind countless mutant crabs, then the two vertical eyes, like street lamps, kept shaking. Those who have no intelligence, only instinctive class mutant crabs, under the control of a super mutant crab, surrounded by Lu Zimo. There are big and small, strong and weak, like mountains and seas, constantly overlapping, staring at Lu Zimo. Quote. The sharp sound, from the countless mutant crabs simultaneously neighing, seemed to be provocative. As the focus of the audience, Lu Zimo's figure always attracts the attention of countless people. And at this moment, Lu Zimo, who had just finished the battle, was besieged. Countless people panic. It's over, Gojo is over, surrounded by water. Too hateful, this mutant sea beast is really too cunning. Hey, this is the battlefield, and the fall of genius is the most common. Countless people sighed, looking at Lu Zimo who was besieged at this time. The hope in their eyes gradually disappeared. No one believed that Lu Zimo could survive such a siege. Although Lu Zimo easily solved an extraordinary first-order mutant crab. But human physical strength is limited. Human spiritual power is limited. In the eyes of countless people, Lu Zimo is only an extraordinary first order after all, and the explosion just now must have consumed a lot of power. At this moment, there is still room to deal with so many mutant creatures at the same time, and there are not a few of them entering the ninth order. Time. Countless people cried and cried. The extraordinary powerhouse wants to support. But mutated creatures like mountains and seas continue to come up, and it is simply impossible to move an inch. At the same time, in the war room of the magic capital. Use heavy weapons, or Gojo will die. He is a genius and the hope of our human race. Anyone can die, but he cannot die. One roared wildly. Others also looked at the director of the Spiritual Power Bureau with hope. He is the supreme commander of the operation. It's just that at this moment, his face is changing, his teeth are clenched. It's useless, even if heavy weapons are used to deal with extraordinary creatures. Gojo will also be destroyed by the power of heavy weapons. After finishing speaking, the Director General seemed to have drained all his strength, slumped on the stool weakly, and looked desperately at Lu Zimo, who was besieged on the big screen. The others listened and finally realized the seriousness of the problem. Lu Zimo is at the center of the mutant creatures at this time, whether or not he uses heavy weapons. He, all must die. The last hope in everyone's heart was shattered, and their eyes instantly became dim. And this time, on the battlefield, countless mutant crabs raised their iron pincers at the same time, violently towards Lu Zimo. There were a lot of bloodstains and weapon wreckage left on the iron tongs, which looked unusually infiltrating. In just an instant, Lu Zimo was directly enveloped by countless mutant crabs. Over and over again. In the end, a crab mountain was formed. At this moment, when countless people saw this scene, their hearts froze and they were completely desperate. Many people even closed their eyes and wailed in their hearts. Because Lu Zimo didn't even resist. What is not exhaustion? So, Lu Zimo's ending can almost be imagined at this time. It was definitely torn to pieces by countless mutant sea beasts. But what people don't know is that Lu Zimo, who was carrying countless mutant crabs, was not injured. Instead, his eyes became more excited. For him, these rubbish, no matter how much they come, are just energy points. And now, are these moving energy points rushing to die? Ha ha, it's just right, turn it all into my energy point. In the soft narration, the mutating crab action that rushed towards Lu Zimo came to an abrupt end. At this time, they all stayed half a meter away from Lu Zimo's body. This is an unlimited spell. Absolute defense, protecting Lu Zimo all the time. And these mutant sea beasts are simply impossible to break through his defenses. So, it seems, it's Lu Zimo surrounded by mutant crabs. Actually, he has nothing at all. Without hesitation, Lu Zimo's body suddenly surged with aura, and an astonishing chill was released from Lu Zimo's body. The cold is getting stronger and stronger, and the extreme cold begins to spread. The entire battlefield, except for the ice girl, felt a chill at the moment. What's the matter? Why is the battlefield so cold? Is it the ice girl zooming in? I remember that he zoomed in and made the 100-meter radius turned into absolute zero. It doesn't seem to be. This chill seems to come from the pile of mutant crabs. Countless people exclaimed again and again, found an abnormality, and looked towards Crab Mountain. At the same time, at the moment when everyone looked at them, countless white cold mists overflowed from the gaps in the mutant Crab Mountain. What happened? Feeling the deadly cold air, even the Ice Maiden couldn't help but looked over with doubts. Just when people are in doubt. Sudden, shish. Countless piercing sounds emanated from the mutant Crab Mountain. Immediately after, bang, countless ice thorns exploded, and countless mutated crabs were directly penetrated through the body at this time and impacted. Ow! A series of mourning came, echoing directly throughout the battlefield. It was the wailing of the mutant crab's pain. Countless mutant crabs wailed at the same time, attracting countless people on the battlefield. At this moment, their eyes that were like street lamps were filled with tears of pain. Constantly waving steel feet and iron pliers to struggle. But, like water off a duck's back. At this time, everyone finally saw the source of the ice thorn. It was Lu Zimo. At this time, Lu Zimo was like a huge ice hedgehog, with himself as the center, extending countless ice thorns. The ice thorns pierced through the body of the mutant crabs, and they hung on it and struggled in pain. Seeing this scene, for a while, countless people's eyes widened and their faces were shocked. It's not dead. Is this an anti-kill? What kind of power is this? Gojo, Ice Maiden, who is the Ice King? In a series of exclamations. Lu Zimo didn't give everyone much time to react. Boom, boom. The next moment, Lu Zimo's thoughts moved, and countless ice thorns exploded. Several mutant crabs hanging on the ice thorns exploded along with the ice thorns. Moment. Countless ice crystals mixed with flesh and blood were dyed red and fell from the sky. Lu Zimo stood in the center, but no ice crystals or even flesh fell on him. Silence. True silence. Countless people watched this scene, completely stunned, unable to say a word. Countless mutant crabs. Turned out to be. Gojo is a trick second. What strength is this? Horrible, so scary. Countless people felt a heartbeat. This is the real Ice King. This is the thought that has arisen in the hearts of countless ordinary people and even extraordinary people. With just one move, the Ice Queen status that was deeply rooted in Hangcheng was instantly replaced. The Ice Girl in the distance didn't know what everyone was thinking. She stared at Luzimo's handsome figure with beautiful eyes, and her pupils were full of shock. More than shock, though, was excitement. Chess meets the excitement of the opponent. Luzimo's blow directly touched the blood of belligerence in her heart. Spiritual power surged, and countless cold air condensed, and an ice blade with a length of tens of meters appeared in the ice girl's hand. The ice blade is crystal clear, which is condensed under the influence of her talent, Absolute Zero. It looks rough, but it is extremely hard, comparable to alloy. The ice girl's eyes narrowed. She raised her hand and slashing down where Luzimo was. Shish! In an instant, a blue icy sword rose into the sky and headed towards Luzimo. All the entry-level mutant sea beasts along the way were frozen. Lost life. A faint blue ditch appeared on the battlefield, spreading to Luzimo's feet, cutting the battlefield. Luzimo's heart moved, feeling the ice girl's provocation, and smiled slightly. Not bad ability, then, just look at mine. In the soft narration, Luzimo's body surged with spiritual power. The cold air continued to condense, and then, an ice skate with the same length of tens of meters appeared in Luzimo's right hand. It's just, compared to the rough creation in the hands of the ice girl. The skates in Luzimo's hands are like handicrafts, exquisite and perfect. This is because Luzimo owns 6 eyes, and has a meticulous grasp of spiritual power. In order to create a perfect ice blade without wasting a single bit of spiritual power. And now, Luzimo turned around and looked at the location of the super mutant crab. Raising his hand and slashing, with a near-perfect movement, he slashed down the ice blade in one go. Ha! With the long knife slashing down, on the battlefield, an instant cold air emerged. Endless cold. From Luzimo's skating blade, he shot out. It turned into a blue ice blade gas, overwhelming the sky, heading towards the extraordinary crab at a speed invisible to the naked eye. Boom, boom. A series of roars sounded, and countless mutant sea beasts blocked between Luzimo and the extraordinary crab. As long as it touches the cold ice blade energy, it will be cut off by the sharp cold light in an instant. And that's not the scariest. The scariest thing is, those broken corpses turned into ice sculptures. Like the most perfect pieces of art, each mutant sea beast that has turned into an ice sculpture still retains the craziest look. And until the moment of death, they don't know what happened. Seeing this, the extraordinary crab's vertical pupils, like street lamps, swayed again and again. Summons the surrounding mutant sea beasts, constantly blocking in front of him. Layer by layer, the defense lines piled up by the mutant sea beasts were formed in an instant. At this time, this spectacular scene, it provoked countless people, and they all watched in awe. On the original battlefield, mutant sea beasts have always attacked. And they are passive defense on the human side. But, ever since Ice Maiden, Gojo joined the battlefield. Miracles keep happening, and now, Gojo is even more of a one-man. Fighting extraordinary crabs, summoning countless mutant sea beasts to defend. Even the Ice Maiden temporarily stopped fighting. He stared solemnly at Luzimo's countless frost sword attacks. Different from her power-charging sword, it condensed all the power into one point, and finally broke out the only slash. Luzimo is now slashing out countless ice blades. The blade chi is very wide, covering half of the entire battlefield. However, the ice girl felt the power coming from the ice blade at this time. It's not much smaller than her energy storage. Silence. True silence. At this moment, everyone waited with bated breath, looking forward to Gojo's ice attack. Is Gojo better, or is the mutant sea beast successfully defending? But, anyway, this scene on the scene. All are enough to go down in history. Next moment. Bang. 200 bangs. Countless icy blade chi touches the defensive line that the mutant sea beasts have piled up. Useless. Totally useless. The ice knife is like a destructive force, cutting off the bodies of countless mutant sea beasts and turning them into ice sculptures. A set of processes flows like water. Soon, in front of everyone's eyes, an iceberg gradually formed. Among the blue ice sculptures, inside are the broken arms and stumps of countless mutant sea beasts. It looks mysterious and eerie, and has become one of the wonders of the battlefield. Boom! A sudden roar sounded. It was the extraordinary crab that saw that the situation was not good, and its 8 legs jumped up. At the same time, a stream of water shot out from under him. The extraordinary crab actually wanted to send himself back to the sea. Ridiculous. In the soft narration, countless ice knives follow the extraordinary crabs like shadows. Almost instantly, the water flow was condensed, and the escaped body of the mutant crab came to an abrupt end. Next moment, swish, the sound of several cuts of flesh sounded. Under the horrified eyes of countless people, countless ice-cold knife energy actually cut the 8 legs of the extraordinary crab and the 2 iron tongs directly. Then, the cold air surged up, and the body of the extraordinary crab was directly frozen in the air. God, it's too gorgeous. This is another extraordinary creature captured alive. It's too simple, isn't it? There is no power to fight back, there is really no power to fight back. Repeated exclamations sounded on the battlefield, in the war room, and in the magic capital city. Countless people blushed their necks and looked excitedly at the handsome figure. Shock. So shocking. From the beginning of the war to the present, no one ever thought that someone could defeat extraordinary creatures in such a crushing form. The ice girl not far away was even more terrified at this time. As the king of ice, only she understands the horror of Luzimo at this moment. She had thought that Luzimo's move could defeat the defense line of the mutant crab. She can even reproduce the shocking scene that caused the ice sculpture mountain before. It just takes a lot of spiritual energy. But what she never expected was this trick. Even the extraordinary crabs were directly frozen. Fear, terrifying. This is something she can't do even with all her spiritual power. But, Luzimo, not only did he do it, but he looked so relaxed at this time. Moment. The belligerent blood in the ice girl's heart boiled. There are no longer any reservations. The whole body's spiritual power poured out, acting on the surrounding mutant sea beasts. It seems to be venting, and it seems to be competing. For a while, countless mutant sea beasts were directly frozen. The momentum created is about to catch up with Luzimo's ice sculpture mountain. Only, no matter how much ice is frozen and the sea beast, the ice girl can't compare to Luzimo. At least in the current battlefield, that is the case. Because she simply can't make a mutant crab that freezes the extraordinary first order. The ice girl was doing her best to output, but Luzimo didn't have time to care. Because, at this time, he was immersed in the system. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing the 9th order mutant sea beast. The reward is 90 energy points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing the 5th order mutant sea beast. The reward is 50 energy points. Ding! Congratulations to the host for killing the 8th order mutant sea beast. The reward is 80 energy points. The continuous beep sounded, stimulating his excited nerves. Slowly raising his eyes, the azure blue eyes with white mist reflected the positions of countless mutant sea beasts. Under the influence of 6 eyes, countless mutant sea beasts whose strength has reached the 9th rank, all appeared in his perception. Today, the extraordinary creatures have all been wiped out. Next, my goal is these entry-level high-level. Swish, Luzimo's figure flashed. Under the use of Jujutsu Kang, he moved instantly and came directly to a mutant crab that had entered the 9th order. Boom! The knife fell from the hand, and the knife slashed down. At this moment, the mutant crab didn't even have time to react, its eyes widened, and it turned into an ice sculpture. That's it. Luzimo and the Ice Woman battlefield scavenger. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it quickly cleaned up the remaining mutant sea beasts on the battlefield. The two seemed to be competing with each other. You came and went, and they kept killing the mutant sea beasts. Maybe it means that the ice girl is one-sided, and then competes with Luzimo. Every time Luzimo kills a mutant sea beast, the ice girl also slashes and kills a mutant sea beast of the same level. And Luzimo, although noticed the ice girl's small movements, but only lightly smiled, because the ice girl can't last long. Under the extreme observation of 6 eyes, Ice Maiden's spiritual power output speed. I'm afraid it won't be long before I run out. The current outbreak is only temporary. At the same time, countless people on the battlefield fought passionately. CDDD outside the battlefield, countless people also shouted hoarsely. With the partial recovery of the network, the situation on the battlefield has already been broadcast live in the Magic Capital. And Luzimo prepared a live broadcast room for him alone. And just now, with the formation of the ice sculpture mountain, the moment when the extraordinary crab was frozen. The popularity of Luzimo's live broadcast room has directly surpassed the popularity of the official live broadcast room. Countless ordinary people in the magic capital were fascinated by the figure that looked like it came out of a cartoon. But the director of the Magic Power Bureau looked at Luzimo's figure, but smiled bitterly. This Gojo, hey, we are afraid that we will not be able to raise our heads before the Hangzhou spiritual power situation in the future. Yes, with the power of one person, Luzimo killed and frozen 2 extraordinary first-order mutant crabs in a row. Directly surpassed the first genius of their magic capital, Ice Girl. In terms of live broadcast, the popularity has surpassed the official live broadcast room. Countless people in Magic City would rather watch Luzimo than watch the official live broadcast room. It can be seen how terrifying Luzimo's influence in the magic capital will be in the future. And their Demon City Spiritual Power Bureau is also completely shorter than Hangcheng Spiritual Power Bureau. Time passed slowly. The mutant sea beasts on the battlefield seemed to be endless. Kill one wave, another wave. Constantly climbing up from the coast. Now there is no command of the extraordinary first-order mutant sea beast. These, the sea beasts who entered the class, became even more mad, rampant and reckless. And the battle up to now, high-intensity continuous combat. It has already exhausted countless soldiers mentally, and countless extraordinary warriors have almost exhausted their spiritual power. Even the Ice Girl was panting heavily at this time, and a pale white appeared on her icy face. That is a manifestation of excessive consumption of spiritual power. In order to compete with Luzimo, she doesn't care about the consumption of spiritual power in her body. Nowadays, it's almost bottomed out, subconsciously. The Ice Girl's pale blue eyes looked at Luzimo again. But the Ice Girl was stunned, her cold eyes filled with disbelief. I see. White hair. It's like the face value that came out of the comics. Luzimo. Still active in the center of countless mutant sea beasts, the power seems to be inexhaustible, and the spiritual power in the body seems to be boundless. It seems to be getting more and more brave. In one move, all the mutant sea beasts were destroyed. What are you kidding? Similarly, kill the mutant sea beast of the same order. This guy has no influence at all. Heart stunned to see. But the Ice Girl saw that Luzimo had given up the ice blade in his hand. What's the situation? Finally exhausted, not only the Ice Girl, Luzimo has always been the brightest star on the battlefield. Countless people are just watching. This moment. Luzimo threw the skate in his hand and threw it away. It also caused many doubts. But Luzimo didn't give them time to think further. Next moment, shish, Luzimo's figure jumped up. It turned into a white streamer and jumped into the sky. Destroy them all. During the soft narration, Luzimo made a flick of his fingers. What is Gojo doing? Is this going to rest in the sky? No, this seems to be amplifying the move. In the repeated exclamations, Luzimo's spiritual power surged wildly. Countless purple-black energies converge. Like a laser, it gathers light. Filled with the smell of destruction. This is a hypothetical mass. It is the fusion of Kang and He. And now, terrible energy gathering. Countless people just stared at this power all the time, and they all felt stunned. Shocked. Tremble. What is that? What a terrifying aura of power. This is too. The Ice Girl's eyes were even more horrified. For the first time, a pair of beautiful eyes appeared moving. Only extraordinary people who have also set foot in the extraordinary realm can experience the horror of this power. That aura of destruction raged on the battlefield, and the world seemed to change color. The Ice Girl has a feeling. I was only afraid that I would be rubbed lightly. I'm afraid it's either dead or injured. And in the next moment, under the horrified eyes of countless people, a purple-black beam of light pierced through everything, gushing out. Tens of meters thick, throughout the battlefield. Even cut it. Countless mutant beasts disappeared in an instant. Ding, you have killed a mutant crab, energy point plus 80. Ding, you have killed a mutant crab, energy point plus 100. Amidst the repeated reminders, the corners of Luzimo's mouth twitched slightly. But he didn't know what he said and did. But it made the battlefield silent. Deathly quiet. Countless people looked at the ravine with no end in sight. Hundreds of meters long and tens of meters wide. Is this really the power of human beings? What is that? My God, this power, really, can people create it? Is this the power of Gojo? After a moment of silence, a monstrous uproar broke out on the battlefield. In the repeated exclamations, countless people stopped the movements in their hands. Ordinary soldiers, extraordinary warriors, high-level executives in the war room, and countless spectators in the magic capital standing in front of the live broadcast room. Now, all eyes were focused on that white figure. White hair, it's like the face value that came out of the comics. With his hands in his pockets, he looked arrogant. When everyone saw this, their pupils were full of astonishment. It turns out, one move, just one trick, it wiped out 1/3 of the mutant sea beasts on the battlefield. And, the most important is, at this time, the rest of the mutant sea beasts, feeling the great power of this blow. Because there is no extraordinary level of biological command. Driven by instinct, he was directly defeated and fled in a hurry. Squeak, 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 squeak. During the continuous neighing, countless mutant sea beasts receded like a tide. At this time, if you pay attention to the battlefield, you will definitely be able to see. Under Lu Zimo's blow, a huge ravine was actually created. At this time, it was like a slash from the sky, completely isolating the attack of the mutant sea beast. Even if there are still a small number of stunned blue mutant sea beasts, they log in from the coast and break through the ravines, and they are quickly cleaned up. So, it is almost possible to say, Lu Zimo at the moment. With his own power, he completely repelled the mutant sea beast. Think of this, countless extraordinary warriors, ordinary soldiers. At this moment, in the eyes looking at Lu Zimo, in addition to horror, there is more gratitude. On the battlefield, things change rapidly. The mutant sea beasts are endless. No one knows what will happen to him in the next moment. Death is likely to be the next second thing. What's more, at this time, they are already exhausted to the extreme. However, Lu Zimo's behavior is tantamount to saving them from fire and water. Therefore, at this moment, countless people on the battlefield cast their eyes full of gratitude and reverence towards Lu Zimo. Even Ice Maiden is no exception. She herself has almost reached her limit. Although, we can continue to fight. But there is no doubt that such a high-intensity battle will definitely leave a dark spot in her future cultivation career. However, there is a shot from Lu Zimo. Everything is different. This guy, while muttering, the ice girl looked at the figure not far away, and her eyes were complicated. Kind of scary. At the same time, the Magic Power Bureau was also silent for a long time. This Gojo is really powerful, the Director General of the Magical Power Bureau said in tears, looking at Lu Zimo on the big screen with a complicated expression. He knows, the reputation of their demon capital could not be preserved this time. When the communication was restored, he could almost think of the picture of his old friend, the chief director of the Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau, making fun of him. He actually used his own power to shake the tide of sea beasts in their magic capital. Yes, as expected of the first genius of Hangchang, the power of the last blow has even surpassed the heavy weapons we prepared. A high-level demon city sensed it. It's a pity that such a genius does not belong to our demon capital. Although he is also a first-order extraordinary, his strength has already surpassed the ice girl by a lot. I just don't know if Yanjing's first genius is comparable to him. I see Zan, you must know, Lu Zimo, but a dual talent. In the war room of the Demon City, discussions began one after another as the chief director broke the silence. Just the tone, more and more frightened. At the same time, when I think of a genius like Lu Zimo, it doesn't belong to them. I felt a pang of heartache. I can't wait to dig the wall and leave Lu Zimo in the magic capital. At this time, the chief director of the Magic Power Bureau, the most worried situation appeared. After a brief silence, countless people in the magic capital erupted. Oh my God, this is so handsome, this Gojo. Single quote. Is this the destructive power of the superhuman? It's amazing. No. This is the destructive power of Gojo. I found that there are two types of superhumans, ordinary superhumans and Gojos. In a series of exclamations, countless people in the magic capital were deeply shocked by Lu Zimo's last move. Both men and women, young and old, know it at this moment. An extraordinary warrior named Gojo came from Hangchang to repel the beast tide for their magic capital. Even at this time, many of the girls in the magic capital were already burning with enthusiasm. What's more, he threatened that, if you don't, Luzimo will not marry. And it's not hard to understand. Luzimo isn't just powerful. That white hair, there is also the appearance that is light coming out of the comics. Plus light blue eyes with white mist. With that cold expression. Simply, a real girl killer. And with that, parts of the network are restored. Because the magic capital and Hangchang were relatively close. Before, many netizens in the magic capital spontaneously edited the video of Luzimo's wanton in the beast tide, which was also fermented on the internet. Countless Hangzhou netizens also saw that familiar figure at this moment. Signature white hair, their first talent in Hangtown. Luzimo, defeated by 3 moves in the beast tide, the extraordinary first-order mutant crab that the magic capital could not do for a long time. Another attack of ice thorns broke out, which easily relieved the danger of siege. Moreover, there is still a landmark building left in the magic capital. Ice Mountain. Countless mutant sea beasts turned into ice sculptures and formed a giant mountain. This power, is this the true power of Gojo? The war pig looked at the video on the screen and said in astonishment. In the video, it was played when Luzimo used the virtual Pyrene. A beam of destruction light cleared the scene, although across the screen. But the war pigs could feel a destructive aura coming towards them. This moment, only then did War Pig discover how far apart he was from Luzimo. Not to mention this last move, the imaginary Pyrene, it is not something that it can deal with just by the cold ice sword in front of it. Ha ha, in the boundless consternation, the War Pig laughed lightly at himself. It's ridiculous that he still wants to fight Gojo one-on-one. It's so whimsical. Not only the War Pig, Luzimo had many friends in Hangzhou Lingli Bureau at this time. Queen, Food King, etc. At this time, they all stared at Luzimo's figure in the video in horror. Especially Luzimo's last move, destroying the beast tide, made their scalps feel numb. And this time, the happiest person is the director of Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau. Gojo, it looks like he's still hiding something from us. Although the director general has a serious face, he does not mention how happy he is. The better Luzimo performed outside, the brighter their Hangzhou Lingli Bureau's face would be. Especially this time, Luzimo almost single-handedly destroyed the entire beast tide. It also made their Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau famous in the whole country. At least, from now on, the Magic City Spirit Power Bureau will face their Hangzhou Spirit Power Bureau. As long as Luzimo is around. Always keep your head down. Yeah, Mingming and the first genius Ice Girl in the Magic Capital are both extraordinary first order. But Gojo's performance is much better than Ice Girl. A high-level executive next to him shook his head again and again, his tone was amazed, and his heart was shocked. The chief also nodded and said, "That's right. And, I'm guessing, based on Gojo's character, that might not be Gojo's full strength." What? Hearing this, the high-level officials were even more astonished. If this is the case, doesn't it mean that even Yanjing's first genius, maybe, is not Gojo's opponent? Hey, the Director General's eyes suddenly narrowed, it's not maybe, but, absolutely. As soon as this word comes out, the office fell silent for a moment. At the same time, in the battlefield, all the extraordinary warriors retreated. Only ordinary soldiers were left behind, and the stupefied green mutant sea beasts that did not retreat were cleaned up. Now, there is no numerical advantage. Mutated sea beasts, not to mention the mutated sea beasts that are only entry level, are quickly cleaned up under the power of guns and ammunition. The demonic beast tide is finally over. 0.00. As the biggest hero, Luzimo was also invited to the war room of the Magic City right away. Really, young and promising. The director of the General Bureau of Spiritual Power of the Magic City looked at the handsome young man in front of him, and his heart was extremely sour. Why is such a genius not from their magic capital? But the chief inspector looked at Luzimo and smiled mysteriously. Come on, let me introduce someone to you, you must have something in common with her. Saying that, the chief director directly pulled Luzimo and left. Forehead, somewhat stunned, Luzimo was also confused by the enthusiasm of the director general. Common topic, what does it mean? How does it feel? A bit like a blind date. However, seeing how enthusiastic the Director General is, it is difficult for him to refuse. Lu Zimo could only follow and came to the door of a room. Lu Zimo felt a familiar chill from inside the room. In an instant, Lu Zimo understood the meaning of the director. Suddenly a little dumbfounded. This is to match him with the ice girl. Really? The door opened, and inside was the ice girl who was resting. White cap, white trench coat. It's just that the long ice blue hair on the original head has returned to black. However, just look at the dress. It does have something in common with Lu Zimo. The ice girl was also a little stunned when she saw the chief director brought Lu Zimo in. Xiaomang, come, let me introduce you, this is the first genius from Hangchang, Gojo. The chief introduced enthusiastically, and then looked at Lu Zimo, Gojo. This is the ice girl we just saw on the battlefield, her full name is Xiaomang. You two, both of you are ice-type capable people, you must have a common topic, just take advantage of the opportunity now to communicate more. Done. The Director General walked out of the room and closed it directly. Lu Zimo, ice girl. At this time, the chief director who walked out of the room was full of smiles. If Gojo and the Ice Maiden can be together, then Gojo will be considered half of the devil. Of course, this is just a joke. The more reason is that the ice girl wants to have a good chat with Lu Zimo. You know, the ice girl is a famous iceberg beauty. Not interested in anything other than a love of fighting. But now, she is actually interested in Lu Zimo. It's no wonder that the director of the Magic Power Bureau thinks so much. At this moment, a practice room was filled with crystal clear ice cubes. Above the ice cubes, there was a faint chill, forming a white mist that filled the entire training room. And if anyone notices the thermostat on the wall, they'll find that. At this time, the temperature in the practice room turned out to be -10 degrees. Cold. The extreme cold filled the room. Ordinary people don't dare to enter it at all. And this, it is the exclusive practice room of the Ice Girl. The Magic City Spiritual Power Bureau specially spent a lot of money to build it for the Ice Girl to help her practice ice spiritual power. It is precisely because of the existence of this practice room, coupled with the terrifying talent of the Ice Girl, that her cultivation will progress so quickly, worthy of catching up with Lu Zimo. At this time, the entrance to this exclusive exercise room. But two figures appeared, one male and one female. The boy's figure is very handsome, wearing black uniform, a pair of blue eyes, striking white hair on top of head. And the most surprising is, it looks like the face that came out of the comics, with indescribably handsome and charming. Girls are equally beautiful, a delicate face, long snow-white legs, and a hot body. 20. And that waist-length hair is eye-catching. Next. The two of them were completely unafraid of the threatening cold, and stepped into it by coincidence. Shish. Just as the two stepped into it, the hazy white mist dissipated instantly, leaving a blank area for the two of them. And what can create such a sight, and not be afraid of the cold, is Lu Zimo and the Ice Maiden. As for why the two came here, it would also start from the fact that the previous director of the Magic Capital pulled Lu Zimo into the Ice Girl's room. After that, the chief director left, leaving Lu Zimo alone. After some conversation between the two, Lu Zimo realized that he had misunderstood. It wasn't that the Director General wanted to match himself with the Ice Girl, but the Ice Girl took the initiative to ask to see him. Of course, it cannot be ruled out that the Director General has this intention. However, the Ice Girl sees her own purpose. She actually wanted to teach her how to control her spiritual power in a nuanced way. It turned out to be in the battlefield. I saw Lu Zimo condense the ice blade. Not only is it beautiful, but it also consumes very little spiritual power. This is very useful in combat. Not only can it save the consumption of spiritual power, but it can also make it more powerful when using skills. Therefore, the Ice Girl was moved. Lu Zimo also readily agreed. Teaching this kind of thing, he would not reject it at all. What's more, the Ice Girl and him are both extraordinary. Deserved help. However, Lu Zimo only promised to stay in Modu for 3 days. In other words, the Ice Girl only has 3 days to study here. How much you can learn depends entirely on Ice Girl's own talent. In view of the urgency of time, the Ice Girl proposed to start immediately. Lu Zimo didn't refuse either, so he followed the ice girl to this exercise room that belonged to her alone. On the way here, the two had another exchange, and Lu Zimo also learned about the talent of the ice girl. It's called Absolute Zero, an extremely terrifying S-level talent. According to legend, one can even freeze time directly after practicing to the extreme. Although this is more than one level worse than his unlimited spell. But it is still a level higher than his A+ grade ice control talent. And this is why, when he first arrived on the battlefield, Lu Zimo discovered that the ice girl's cold air was colder than his. It is not that the cultivation base is higher than him, but the suppression of the S-level talent under the same talent development progress. But because the ice girl, whether in terms of the quality of spiritual power, the quantity of spiritual power, and even the degree of control of spiritual power, is much worse than Lu Zimo. Therefore, on the battlefield, Ice Maiden's performance when she uses her talent will not be as good as Lu Zimo. Even the condensed ice blades were extremely rough. Compared with Lu Zimo's handicraft like ice skates, it forms a sharp contrast. And now, in the extremely cold ice room, Lu Zimo and the ice girl stood opposite each other. First, the use of spiritual power lies in. While speaking softly, Lu Zimo slowly raised his right hand. Shish. The next second, an ice lotus bloomed leisurely at Lu Zimo's fingertips. Ice lotus is elegant and beautiful. Every lotus leaf and every petal is extremely delicate at this time, like the most perfect creation in the world. Even the texture on the lotus leaf is clearly visible at this time. And it is a symbol of the ultimate use of spiritual power. Even this ultimate control, only Lu Zimo can achieve in the whole world. Because not everyone has 6 eyes. However, Lu Zimo was helped by 6 eyes to achieve this. And this time, the ice girl looked at the perfect blooming ice lotus, and was instantly stunned. Although she is also an ice talent, but her condensed creations have always been extremely rough. Even ice cubes are like this. Where have I seen such a perfect creation? Subconsciously, with curiosity in his eyes, he leaned up. And this time, what the two didn't know was that at the door of the practice room, a girl was standing right now. This girl is an entry-level third-order capable person who participated in this beast-tide war. Inadvertently, Lu Zimo's shot saved a girl's life. So far, the girl has directly become an admirer of Lu Zimo. Fortunately, when she came to practice by accident, she saw Lu Zimo. So I followed up without hesitation, wanting to see if there was a chance to catch up. Unfortunately, I just happened to see Lu Zimo show the ice girl's spiritual power control. From a distance, the scene just now looks like Lu Zimo condensed an ice lotus, begging the ice girl to be happy. In an instant, the girl who made up countless contents in her brain was heartbroken. Wow, sure enough, they are related. Also, one is the first person in Magic Capital, the other is the first person in Hangchang. They are a good match together. Ah, what qualifications do I have? Muttering in her heart, this girl was full of sadness. However, at this time, she couldn't help but took out her mobile phone and recorded this scene. Click. A sudden crisp sound resounded in the distance, accompanied by a flash of light. This is. In some stunned voices, Lu Zimo and Ice Girl both noticed that the door to the training room not far away didn't seem to be closed. Vaguely, a figure could be seen, passing away in a flash. However, for these, Lu Zimo doesn't care. Now, he is seriously teaching the Ice Girl to control the spiritual power. If you want to exercise your spiritual power control, you can try to shape ice flowers on weekdays. The more vivid the ice flowers, the more beautiful they look. While speaking softly, Lu Zimo also showed a serious look on his face. He suddenly understood why Gojo had the patience to teach his disciples. It feels good to be a teacher. Really good. However, this delicate manipulation of spiritual power depends more on individuals and talents. Some people are born delicate. Manipulation of spiritual power is very precise. Some just need to be polished to be finer. As for Lu Zimo, sorry, he with 6 eyes was born to be king. In terms of power control, he can say that there is no one who can fight 1 point of spiritual power, he can use it as 5 points, or even 10 points. This is also the reason why Gojo's spiritual power seems to be incessant. At this time, what Luzimo and Ice Girl didn't know was that the girl who just took a candid photo of them actually posted the photo directly to the internet of the Transcendent Spiritual Power Bureau. As the hero of the whole Magic City, the photo of Ice Maiden and Gojo instantly caused a huge sensation. My god, what is this? The room filled with cold air, Gojo holding an ice flower, dedicated to the Ice Queen. Fake it, this is a plot that only exists in comics. Wow, so romantic. This is what I dream of. It's over, my heart is broken, my male god, Lord Gojo, how can you abandon me? Not only your heart is broken, but my heart is broken too. This is the Ice Girl, the first goddess of our magic capital. After a series of discussions, the entire Magic City Transcendent Spiritual Power Bureau was shaken. Even the director of the Magic Turin Force Bureau was stunned when he saw this photo. So fast. In some doubtful voices, the director of the Magic City Spiritual Power Bureau also shook his head. Young people today, really fast. However, these two little guys are a good match. While muttering in my heart, the director of the Magic City Spiritual Power Bureau is also looking forward to the crystallization of these two little guys. The two young and handsome girls with such extraordinary talents must have crystallized even more brilliantly. That is likely to be the future of the Great Sha Kingdom. Is real hope. At this time, Luzimo didn't know this. If he knew, afraid, he was stunned. This, spreading falsehoods based on falsehoods, is too terrifying. Especially, some people, even Luzimo and Ice Girl's names, have already thought of it. This is exaggeration. However, it's not their fault. Now the atmosphere of the Spiritual Power Bureau is extremely tense. It's rare for some sensational news, and it's no wonder that everyone is cranky. What's more, the two are indeed a good match. All are incredibly powerful. The men are more handsome, and the women are handsome. Chapter 81. At this time, Luzimo had returned to the residence specially arranged for him by the official magic capital. A white moon. This is known as the rich man's paradise. From this, it is enough to witness the importance attached to him by the officials of the magic capital. However, Luzimo didn't have any feeling for the luxurious room. Because now, he has more important things to do. That is to take stock of today's harvest. Then, without hesitation, Luzimo sat down directly, closed his eyes, and sank into the system. Suddenly, the system panel appeared in Luzimo's perception. Host, Luzimo. Level, Extraordinary First Order. Energy points, 1.7 million. Fusion template, Gojo Satoru. Fusion progress, 35%. Awakening talent, Ice control. Can control ice and dominate the extremely cold world. Ability, unlimited spells. Terrifying spells that perpetuate all over the body. Absolute defense, able to resist all attacks. Kang, with Kang as the center of attraction, the output can reach positive infinity. Extended usage, teleport. Watching quietly, Luzimo couldn't help but be silent. It seems that the beast tide is my chance. While murmuring in his heart, Luzimo was also a little surprised. Originally, he had more than 600,000 energy points. Today there are more than 1.7 million in total. That is to say, this time, he actually obtained more than 1 million energy points. Just getting rich all at once. If it is normal, let alone disappear. Even, trying to find and gather so many mutant beasts is a troublesome thing. Only the beast tide has such an opportunity. However, Luzimo also knows that such opportunities are rare. It was the outbreak of the spiritual power tide that caused the beast tide. In the future, if I want to encounter it again, I don't know when it will be. Moreover, Luzimo didn't want the beast tide to happen. He would rather put more effort into finding mutant sea beasts by himself. Because the beast tide represents disaster and death. And now, Luzimo suddenly discovered something even more terrifying. From beginning to end, he did not kill an extraordinary mutant sea beast. It's just freezing the two extraordinary mutant sea beasts, and freezing, there is no energy point. So, that is to say, these power points are all about Luzimo killing those mutated sea beasts that enter the class. And entry level. The energy points that can be provided to oneself range from 20 to 30 to 80 or 90. After careful calculation, that is to say, today, it actually killed tens of thousands of mutant beasts. That's an exaggeration. In the soft narration, even Luzimo was horrified. However, thinking of the power of the virtual form, I feel that this is a reasonable thing. Of these more than 1 million, I am afraid that 70% are almost all provided by that trick. Otherwise, I really want him to take the ice blade and behead one after another. I'm afraid, even if the knife is broken, it is impossible to reach it. However, I can't stand it, it's a virtual horror. One move directly tore a gap in the entire battlefield. Countless mutant beasts all died under the harm of this AoE. It's not a normal horror. It seems that the way to make a fortune in the future is to lose a few times of imitation in the beast tide. While murmuring in his heart, Luzimo was also a little excited. Thinking of releasing several virtual forms, directly tearing the entire battlefield, countless mutant beasts turned into energy points. That picture is really, really beautiful. But this is just Luzimo's idea, and now he is not enough to continuously release the imaginary. This skill can only be used as a whole card. Otherwise, at most twice, the spiritual power in his body will be exhausted. At that time, it was really being slaughtered. So, you still have to learn the reversal technique quickly, and there should be no such troubles at that time. The soft narration also made Luzimo's heart firmer. Because, as long as he learns to reverse the technique, his body will be exhausted by that time. As long as you use the reversal technique, through the principle of negative and positive, you can instantly restore the spiritual power in your body. At that time, it was the real limitless move. Not only is it an infinite ultimate move, but under the action of the reversal technique, even its own infinite technique can be permanently activated. Become passive in the true sense. Plus 6 eyes, instant healing. And more. Thinking of this, even Luzimo has some expectations. But now, look at the more than 1.7 million energy points on the system panel. However, Luzimo moved his mind to strengthen again. Before, when there were only more than 600,000, even if I wanted to strengthen, there was no way. Now, after only a few hours, a wave of demon beasts, the energy point, is completely enough. Without hesitation, Luzimo looked at the system panel. System, I'm going to start the third body strengthening. In the soft narration, even Luzimo's eyes were a little excited. Ding, is the host sure to consume 1 million energy points for the third physical enhancement? Sure. After a simple conversation, the strengthening began, and a special energy began to sweep through Luzimo's body. Every inch of bones, flesh and blood was sublimated under the scouring of energy at this time. Then, the internal organs, blood, bone marrow, and even the brain. All of them are constantly evolving under the constant erosion of special energy. Countless impurities were excreted out of the body, and Luzimo's body was even more, inexplicable brilliance. This process is very long. I don't know how long it took, and the sky was already covered with a touch of morning light. Through the window, it shone on Luzimo's handsome cheeks. However, there was a layer of black stuff attached to his face at this time. That is the impurity discharged from his body after strengthening. Suddenly, Luzimo's eyes snapped open. In the icy blue eyes, there is a touch of white mist, which looks noble and mysterious. At this time, if anyone who is familiar with Luzimo is here, they will definitely find that Luzimo's eyes have become deeper. This is the result after reinforcement. Taking a deep breath, Luzimo finally stood up and stretched. Boom. In vain, a huge roar sounded. An invisible and powerful momentum was centered on Luzimo, which was continuously released in waves. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At this moment, everything in the room began to shake and tremble under the fluctuation of this momentum. As if in fear, it whimpered in fear. The dead are still like this. If someone is here, I am afraid they will be scared and stupid. And this is only part of the momentum that Luzimo inadvertently leaked. It created such a huge momentum. Fear, absolute horror. When Luzimo saw this, he immediately put away the leaked momentum. He was afraid that if he didn't take it back, he was afraid that everything in this room would explode. After putting away his momentum, Luzimo also faced the morning sun with a smile on his face. Comfort, comfort like never before. Although I sat cross-legged all night, my legs didn't feel any soreness, and my whole body didn't feel stiff. Obviously, this is a credit to the reinforcement. What does it taste like? Suddenly, Lu Zimo's nose wrinkled. Stink, a foul odor, rushed into Lu Zimo's awake brain at this time. After thinking about it carefully, Lu Zimo understood where this came from. Looking down, sure enough, black mud and impurities appeared on the surface of the skin, exuding a strong stench. Lu Zimo smiled knowingly when he saw it, knowing that it was an impurity discharged from the body. The more discharged, the better the effect of strengthening. And now, Lu Zimo walked directly into the bathroom. After all, this smell was really sour. In the bathroom, Lu Zimo washed away impurities from his body, revealing his skin as smooth as jade. Is this a strengthened body? In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also carefully looked at the body at this time. Extremely smooth, delicate and white, like a little puppy. However, Lu Zimo knows that this is only superficial. At this time, his skin was as hard as iron, and even if the sword was slashed, it would not leave a trace of white marks. And, not just defense. At this time, Lu Zimo could still clearly feel the power in his body. At least it has skyrocketed several times more than before the strengthening. It's a terrifying enhancement. Now, I can fight extraordinary beasts with my body alone. There was a hint of confidence in the soft narration. Feel the explosive power in your body at this time. Now, he has encountered the extraordinary mutant crab in the beast tide again. One punch, or at most one punch, will fix it. As for the body's defenses, feel sorry. Lu Zimo, who has unlimited spells, is an absolute defense in itself. There is simply no one who can break through his trick jujutsu. So physical defense, for him, has always been a dispensable thing. However, what excites Lu Zimo even more is that Fusion Gojo Satoru's template, just give him the ability of Gojo Satoru. However, even if it is fully integrated, Lu Zimo is at best comparable to Gojo Satoru. As for cultivation, Lu Zimo never felt that he was a genius who could surpass Gojo Satoru, the genius of the sorcerer family. But now, the system strengthens this way, but Lu Zimo sees hope to surpass Gojo Satoru. Gojo Satoru, though scary. But he was able to integrate everything of Gojo Satoru, and he had systematic blessings. So, beyond, isn't it reasonable? At this moment, Lu Zimo suddenly saw the enhancement option on the system panel. There's one more, and the extra option turned out to be ice control. Can even talent be strengthened? While murmuring in his heart, even Lu Zimo was a little surprised. What a surprise! Lu Zimo's ice control is now just an A+ talent. Not even the ice girl. And now, with this feature, doesn't that mean that his ice control can also be strengthened to the level of an ice girl? Even, from now on, all of Lu Zimo's talents, as long as he has enough energy, can be strengthened into the top talents in the world. Thinking of this, Lu Zimo's mind instantly became excited. I still need to work hard. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo's face also showed a hint of helplessness. Because, the strengthening of talent actually requires 1 million energy points. And now he only has more than 700,000 energy points left. In other words, at least more than 200,000 energy points are needed to strengthen. 200,000 energy points, if it is a mutant beast, even if it is all entering the 9th order, it will require more than 2,000 heads. Now, without the beast tide, it is a bit difficult to find more than 2,000 entering order 9th order mutant beasts to kill. So, it's a long way to go. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo is no longer tangled, anyway, he is not in a hurry now. And now, Lu Zimo decided to test his physical strength first. Although he felt that he was able to blow up the extraordinary mutant crab with one punch. However, Lu Zimo wants to know more about where his limits are. And the best way to test is to learn from others. So, Lu Zimo eyed the ice girl. After all, in the magic capital now, the only extraordinary person is the ice girl. Others, even those with the ability to enter the 9th order, come more. It's not enough to see before Lu Zimo. What's more, I was just able to test the ice girl's learning progress. Do it when you think of it, don't hesitate. Lu Zimo opened the door directly and was about to go to the Magic Power Bureau. At this time, someone was already waiting at the door. After knowing that Lu Zimo wanted to go to the Lingli Bureau, he immediately arranged a special car and line. Send Lu Zimo to the Spiritual Power Bureau of the Magic City. It can be seen that the Magic Power Bureau really attaches great importance to Luzimo. But it's normal to think about it, a genius, who doesn't want to befriend and make friends. Although it is a spiritual power bureau, Luzimo does not belong to their magic capital. In order to get help from Luzimo in the future, these basic services are all worthwhile. Therefore, from the current point of view, the superficial work of the Magic City Spiritual Power Bureau is still very sufficient. Along the way, there are many high-rise buildings and a lot of traffic. It can be seen that, as an international metropolis, Magic City is still much more prosperous than Hangzhou. However, the difference is that at this time, the atmosphere on the streets of Modu is still a little heavy, and everyone is very cautious. And on the streets, there are many official people in uniforms patrolling everywhere. After a little thought, Luzimo understood, and now the aura is revived. Many animals and even plants began to mutate, and the city was also extremely dangerous. And, more terrifying than mutant animals and plants, are people. Many people have awakened in this tide of spiritual energy. Those who are of good character and obey the law are fine. The fear is that those who cannot suppress their own desires are gaining powerful power. Do something harmful to society. That's why there are people who patrol the streets and alleys of the city. Soon, Luzimo came to the Magic Power Bureau. As soon as we got out of the car, there was already a special person waiting. The special person is a top-notch beauty, with fair skin and beautiful long legs. Moreover, his own strength should not be underestimated, and he is a person with the ability to enter the 5th rank. At a glance, you can see that the purpose of the Magic City Spiritual Power Bureau is not simple. The beauty was very gentle and asked softly, "Where is Luzimo going?" Because the Magic Power Bureau is really too big, if you are not familiar with the people in each department, must be lost. It seems that we have to let the Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau expand. While muttering in his heart, a smile appeared on Luzimo's face. This is the pattern of other people's metropolises, they are still a little bit worse in Hangzhou. Take me there first, let's have a meal, give me a crab leg from the extraordinary crab. In the soft narration, Luzimo also made his own request. By now, I haven't even eaten breakfast yet. What's more, he has just strengthened his body, so his body is in urgent need of replenishing energy. And the best food is extraordinary creatures. Yes, Lord Gojo, please come with me. The beauty said respectfully, her beautiful eyes locked tightly on Luzimo's body, with a fiery glow. At a glance, you know that she is a little fangirl. And the attitude of the beauty also reminded Luzimo of Lin Xiaoyi. Lin Xiaoyi is responsible for all his daily life in Hangcheng. And after coming to the magic capital, there is also a special person in charge. I don't know, what is Ono doing recently? Sigh softly. Luzimo and the beauty came to a separate luxurious room and waited for a while. Plate after plate of crystal clear crab meat was brought into the room. The crab meat exudes a strong spiritual energy, and at a glance, it is known that it is a great tonic. Looking at the beautiful woman on the side, her eyes showed envy. However, Luzimo is also qualified to enjoy such a great supplement. Because the energy contained in it is simply not something that a person with the ability to enter into the 5th order can bear. With countless crab meat, it entered the abdomen and turned into the purest energy. Luzimo's body was gradually enriched. Swish. Luzimo suddenly raised his hand and punched out. Immediately, countless airflows were driven. Boom. A sudden roar came out, and a fist mark appeared on the wall beside it. What? A scream came. The beautiful woman beside her was instantly frightened. It was incredible to see Luzimo who suddenly shot, the power of this casual punch. It's so terrifying. Is this Mr. Gojo? The beauty's heart is full of infinite horror. What beauty doesn't know is, Luzimo's casual strike did not use spiritual power or talent. It's just the purest force of punching and the strong wind that creates such power. And this, the strength of the shot, is less than 1/10 of Luzimo's. I can't imagine how strong Luzimo's full-strength shot will be. Take me to the ice girl. In the soft narration, Luzimo has already stood up. At this time, the beauty was still in extreme shock. In the end, it was only after Luzimo's reminder that he came back to his senses. Ah, oh, you come with me. The beauty did not dare to delay, and quickly brought Luzimo to the place where the ice girl was. Exercise room. Really, work hard. Lou Zemo couldn't help but sigh when he saw the ice girl who was still condensing ice lotus in the extreme cold practice room. Moreover, it can be seen that the ice lotus condensed by the ice girl at this time is much better than the rough creation at the beginning. At least, I can see. Therefore, it can be seen that the ice girl's spiritual power to control this talent is also very terrifying. It's just that he told the essentials of mastery and taught the method of training. Then in just one night, there was such a big improvement. As expected, the name of the first genius in the magic capital. Just compared to myself. Can't compare at all, I have 6 eyes. Absolutely, the ceiling of the spiritual power control world, the only existence. Entering the ice room, the ice girl also noticed Lou Zemo. Immediately stopped, greeted him, and asked a few questions found during training. Lou Zemo also answered them one by one, causing the ice girl to be amazed. After digesting Lou Zemo's experience, the ice girl was ready to turn around and threw herself into training. Lou Zemo also took the opportunity to propose his own idea. You really want to learn from me? The ice girl was surprised, her beautiful eyes full of puzzlement. After learning about Lou Zemo's strength, the ice girl also fully understood how far apart she was from him. Lou Zemo wants to beat himself, not too easily. So, why Lou Zemo, there is such a proposal? Well, I want to do a test. In the soft narration, Lou Zemo's face flashed a very serious color. Okay, then let's go to the martial arts hall. The ice girl did not refuse, nor did she ask why. After the conversation last night, single quote, he also learned that Lou Zemo is not a person who will do meaningless things. Therefore, Lou Zemo must have his reasons for doing so. As for why you don't ask, it's just a matter of character. Then, the two came directly from the training hall to the martial arts hall. The two walked together, and along the way, they met many extraordinary people. Look, isn't that Gojo and the ice girl? Could it be true what happened last night? It's all appearing in the public, so what's fake? WOC, is it true that there are children? Where are they going? That direction, it seems to be the martial arts hall. A series of discussions continued after the two passed by. Some people even followed up curiously. Lou Zemo and the ice girl are both extraordinary levels, and their perception is so sharp, the voices of these people all entered their ears without a word. Lou Zemo couldn't help laughing. But he didn't care, after all, he only stayed here for 3 days. As for the ice girl, the icy expression, the cold pupils, also did not respond. However, what Lou Zemo didn't know was that the ice girl at this time, although her expression, did not change. But inside, there was a panic. After all, it was the first time she had experienced such a thing, and the words of those around her were particularly explicit. It's just that Lou Zemo was by her side at this time, so she forcibly controlled her expression. But soon, Ice Girl put it all behind her. Because the two officially boarded the Yanwu platform and began to confront each other. At this time, seeing this scene, countless people who followed, and those who were originally in the martial arts hall, all looked over in shock. What did they see? Ice Girl and Gojo actually boarded the martial arts stage at the same time. What are you going to do now? What do you think? Besides fighting, what else can Yanwutai do? Fall in love. Wait, what's the situation? Didn't it just come out last night that the two of them were getting along? Why are they both on stage now? No way, how dare the Ice Girl? Lord Gojo's strength is so terrifying. Repeated exclamations came from the surrounding group of extraordinary people. Without exception, after seeing Lou Zemo's performance in the Beast Tide, at this time, no one was optimistic about the Ice Girl. However, the news that Lou Zemo is going to compete with the Ice Maiden caused a huge sensation in the Magic Power Bureau. Countless extraordinary people are constantly pouring into the martial arts field from various departments at this moment. And the extraordinary people who were originally sparring in the martial arts field also stopped. Even many ordinary people came to hear the news. If you want to see and see, the battle between the first person in the Magic Capital and the first person in Hangchang. Meanwhile, inside a luxurious office, a somewhat startled voice echoed in it. What? The Ice Girl is competing with Gojo at this time. The head of the Magic City Spiritual Power Bureau widened his eyes, obviously a little surprised. At the same time of doubts in his heart, he also asked the technicians to send over the monitoring screen of the martial arts hall. Looking at the ice girl and Gojo in the picture, the director general was extremely nervous at this time. Hope, don't lose too badly. In the soft narration, a helpless, wry smile flashed on the chief's face. Although he didn't know what was going on, he knew that the ice girl would definitely lose. This is not the lack of confidence in the ice girl, but Luzimo's powerful strength, which is deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. It has been completely conquered, everyone in the magic capital. And this, although it was just a simple test, was decided by the two of them. But, after all, it was a duel between the first person in the magic capital and the first person in Hangchang. The identities of the two undoubtedly represent their respective cities. Now, I have no hope of winning, I just hope that I don't lose too badly. In this way, it won't be too embarrassing in front of Hangzhou's spiritual power situation in the future. At this time, on the Yanwu platform, the two figures stood opposite each other. Luzimo has black hair at this time, wearing black uniform. It was like the face that came out of the comics, with a faint smile. Look at the ice girl. At this time, the ice girl, with black waist-length hair, has turned into ice blue. There was an ice blue light in his pupils. Clearly ready. Then, let's start. In the soft narration, Luzimo has already raised his right hand. The ice girl's eyes narrowed, and she was also ready to fight. However, the ice girl was still a little surprised. Because, Luzimo's hair did not turn white at this time. That is to say, Luzimo didn't use his talent at this time. What the ice girl didn't know was that Luzimo not only didn't plan to use his talent. Even spiritual power, is not able to use only the purest flesh. If the ice girl knew from the beginning, I don't know how she would feel in her heart. Just when the ice girl was thinking, boom, suddenly, a loud noise came from Luzimo's direction. The ice girl suddenly raised her head. I saw that Luzimo at this time was already like a high-speed truck. With a strong gang wind, towards myself. Punch out. Click. With a loud bang, a huge pothole appeared where Luzimo was standing at first. A few meters deep. So terrifying. And even more terrifying. With Luzimo attacking the ice girl, the ground along the way was cracked one by one, constantly making the sound of card rub. Forehead. Everyone was stunned when they saw this scene, showing a stunned expression. This is not what they imagined. No, it should be. Is the ice blade right? How can it be so violent? Moreover, the materials used in the construction of Yanwutai are all special materials. It's so hard that bullets can't penetrate it. As for the capable, except for those with the ability to enter the ninth order, don't think about it. Moreover, even more, the person who has awakened the ability of the body strengthening system, strikes with all his strength to be able to break it. However, even so, it's just broken. If you want to be like Luzimo, smash them one by one. It's simply impossible. However, now, Luzimo's blow is only the aftermath. It seems that it has surpassed the full blow of the 9th level ability person. Thinking of this, the hearts of countless people are full of horror, and for a while, they can't talk to themselves for a long time. At this time, the most powerful feeling of the power of this blow is none other than the ice girl on the Yanwu stage. A long icy blue hair, under the huge fist wind caused by this blow, fluttered in the wind. The windbreaker is also blown close to the body, outlining the perfect curve. There was a horrified expression on his face. How can this guy fight with himself just by relying on his own body? In the heart of the murmur, the ice girl at this moment can't believe it. Because, at this time, he could not feel any spiritual power fluctuations in Luzimo's attack. Whether it's the cracks in the floor, or the strong wind around. It was all caused by the purest power contained in Luzimo's body. Fear, so terrifying. At this moment, Luzimo refreshed the ice girl's perception of him again. Originally, in the ice girl's perception, Luzimo was just a genius with a strong spiritual talent and a dual talent. And now, what Luzimo does. Not only these two aspects, but even Siamese. That is, the strength of the body is so terrifying. As an extraordinary person, the ice girl can deeply feel the power of this blow. It has definitely reached the power of the extraordinary first order. Just relying on the outbreak of the flesh, it has reached this level. Now Luzimo, spiritual power cultivation, talent skills, and physicality are all top-level existences. Perfect. Absolutely perfect genius. This monster. While murmuring in her heart, the ice girl also put away her shock and raised her hands. The spiritual power in the body surged wildly. Facing Luzimo's blow, she didn't dare to be careless at all. At this time, he also understood what Luzimo meant by the test before. It turned out that he wanted to test how strong his physical strength was. So, just let me cooperate with you. Complete the test. In the soft narration, the ice girl's slender hands began to crystallize. Swish! Almost instantly, a huge ice wall appeared in front of the ice girl. The ice wall is at least a few meters thick, and there is a steady stream of spiritual power pouring into it from the Ice Maiden's body, constantly strengthening and solidifying. This level of ice wall is also the limit of the ice girl. Gojo, it's up to you. Whispering softly, the ice girl set her eyes on Luzimo. Looking at that, the handsome black figure. She also wanted to know, where is Luzimo's limit? Not only the ice girl is curious. At this moment, all the people in the martial arts field were all calm and looking at Luzimo with anticipation. Stop it, should, after all, be just a punch from Luzimo. But, look, the shattered ground, I feel a little overhanging. The voices of discussion continued to sound. As the extraordinary warriors of the Magic Power Bureau, in their hearts at this time, they very much hoped to be able to block it. But, looking at the cracked ground at this time, I found that it seemed to be a little overhang. However, Luzimo did not give the audience much time to think. Next moment, boom, a huge crash sounded. Luzimo punched the ice wall. Immediately, a layer of strong air waves centered on Luzimo's fist, like a wave, constantly rushing out. Boom, puff, there was a loud noise in vain. At this time, the audience, many of the lower class, and ordinary people. It turned out to be directly overturned to the ground. At this time, the one who is still able to stand is just here, gritted his teeth and insisted. Sweaty. Countless people looked horrified and couldn't believe it. The aftermath of the power of a blow, there is still such power. And even more astounding, they didn't even feel any spiritual power fluctuations in this residual power. Why are there no spiritual power fluctuations? What's going on? Is this really pure physical power? Gojo, is it really a mutant beast of human nature? In the repeated exclamations, everyone expressed their own guesses in their hearts. However, what everyone is most concerned about is whether the ice wall several meters thick has been slammed down. Countless people raised their heads at the same time and looked at the ice wall. Blocked. Looking at the intact ice wall, some surprised voices sounded. But, it's too late for everyone to be happy. The next moment. Crack, clap, clap. The sound of cracking continued to sound, and cracks appeared continuously on the ice wall, several meters thick. One after another, like an avalanche. Even if the ice girl's spiritual power is continuously input, it can't stop. Is this blocked, or not? It should be blocked. No, I feel that if there is no spiritual power input from the ice girl, I am afraid that the ice wall would have been shattered long ago. That is, blocked. But not completely blocked. A series of discussions continued to sound. At this time, the most intuitive feeling of this punch, ice girl. At this time, his brows were furrowed, his expression solemn. Although she blocked the first blow. But, the same. Her physical and spiritual power is about to be exhausted. However, the cracks above the ice wall have not yet been repaired. If Luzimo was on the offense, she couldn't be stopped at all. What's more, looking at Luzimo's expression at this time, it was extremely relaxed. It doesn't look like it's overused at all. Boom. Another loud noise interrupted the ice girl's thinking. It also interrupted the discussion of the people in the audience. Because, as the ice girl guessed, Luzimo punched again at this time. Not a punch. It's a series of punches. Bang, bang, bang. A series of violent collisions came from above the ice wall, accompanied by a constant, click, click, sound. The cracks in the ice wall are getting bigger and bigger. Has reached the brink of collapse. At this time. Okay, here we go. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo stopped abruptly and looked at the ice girl. Because his test purpose has been achieved. He knew the approximate limits of his physical body at this time. With just 5 punches, he can smash the ice wall that he has condensed with all his strength. And for each punch, Lu Zimo only used 70% of his strength, but it was a full-strength punch that had already reached an extraordinary level. That is, if Lu Zimo uses his full strength, it only takes 3 punches at most to smash the ice wall. If the ice girl knew, I'm afraid I'll be dumbfounded. At this time, hearing Lu Zimo's voice, the ice girl Confucianism bears the burden and no longer continues to output spiritual power to the ice wall. Immediately, quote. Without the maintenance of spiritual power, the ice wall collapsed directly, burst open, and turned into countless ice crystals. This monster, as she murmured in her heart, the ice girl was full of horror. She never imagined that every blow from Lu Zimo would have the same power. This continued explosive force, if not for Lu Zimo's last hand. I'm afraid, her ice wall has been shattered. At this time, looking at the 2 people who suddenly stopped, the audience under the stage was dumbfounded. How is this calculated? Who wins and who loses? It's a draw. After all, they all stopped. Fart. It was obviously Gojo who won. Look, the ice girl is pale and panting at this time. If it weren't for Lord Gojo, you would be pity and cherish Jade. Controversy resounded from the audience. However, Lu Zimo doesn't care about this, he only knows that his purpose has been achieved. Then, after sending the ice girl back to rest, she left the Spiritual Power Bureau and returned to the apartment. 3 days passed in a flash. The night is getting darker. At this moment, in an apartment, a cold female voice echoed in it. So, what do you mean? If spiritual power, then we can do this. According to Lu Zimo's teaching, the ice girl slowly expressed her opinion. Well, that's it. Now, I have taught everything I can teach. Tomorrow, I will go back to Hangzhou. From now on, it's up to you. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also slowly stood up and looked through the window to the feasting metropolis outside. Silence. Hearing this, the ice girl's face was icy cold, and the joy of being affirmed also disappeared. Thank you. A cold voice sounded, the question, after asking, then I'll go first. The ice girl turned around indifferently and left without any nostalgia. However, in the depths of the ice girl's eyes, a trace of reluctance flashed. For the past 3 days, because Lu Zimo no longer went to the Spiritual Power Bureau. Therefore, when the ice girl had a problem, she came directly to the door. Complete disregard for gossip. Now, hearing that Lu Zimo is leaving, the ice girl has a complicated heart, and in the end she is reluctant to face it and chooses to escape. But, there was also a special feeling in her heart that even the ice girl didn't notice. The next day, buzz. The sudden roar of the accelerator sounded, and a locomotive came out of the magic capital city and headed for Hangchang. And the figure on the locomotive. Black uniform. Black blindfold. Just like the face value that came out of the comics, handsome and charming. Exactly, Lu Zimo. At the same time, at the gate of Hangchang. Dozens of figures are standing at the intersection at this time. If anyone knew, these people would definitely fall off in shock. Because the person in the lead turned out to be the chief director of the Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau. Behind him are the most powerful extraordinary warriors in Hangchang, including War Pig, Yangquan, and Food King. After that, there are some important official personnel. At this time, they all put down their official duties and stopped important cultivation, in this cold wind. Looking at the road in the distance, it seems like waiting for something. And this is the only highway from the magic capital back to Hangzhou. Director, is it necessary to be so solemn? Will we not see you for 3 days soon? Behind him, a second-generation official came with a somewhat dissatisfied voice. Humph, do you know what Gojo did? Is it necessary to be so grand? He took a sigh of relief for our Hangzhou city in front of the magic capital. If you have this ability, I will give you such a grand treatment. The chief, with a serious face, continued to scold. If it weren't for the fear of problems in Hangchang, I would like to bring everyone over to take care of Gojo. The second generation of officials was scolded, and other people dared not touch the director's bad head. However, at this time, the War Pig, the King of Food, the Flame Fist and others behind the director, the Food King, in particular, showed an envious look. If one day, I can also get this kind of treatment, I really have no regrets to die. While murmuring in his heart, the Food King also knew that this was impossible. This honor can only belong to that powerful man, Gojo. At this time, no one was seen, but the roar of the locomotive sounded. Hearing this voice, the director's face instantly filled with a smile. Time flies, today is Lu Zimo's third day back in Hangzhou. At this time, in the practice room of the Spirit Power Bureau. Breakthrough at last. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo set his eyes on the center of the practice room, where there is a figure standing. Violent flames burned all over the body, and an astonishing amount of heat erupted. He is Fire Fist. Now, it has finally reached half-step transcendence. Not just Flaming Fist. For the past 3 days, it seems to have been stimulated by Lu Zimo. The King of Food, the Queen and others also broke through the existing realm one after another. At this time, Yan Quan also raised his gaze, looking at Lu Zimo. At this time, there was infinite horror in the depths of his eyes. Because, with the improvement of his cultivation, the more he can feel how terrifying Lu Zimo's strength is. Although the cultivation base has broken through, I found that the strength gap between Gojo and Gojo has actually widened. Hey. With a sigh, Yan Quan finally gave in completely. Seeing this, Lu Zimo also chuckled. He understood Yan Quan's psychology at this time. People, only when they reach a certain level, can they feel the real terror. So, Lu Zimo went back to practice hard again. Back at the apartment, Lu Zimo sits alone on the sofa. Here is Hangcheng live broadcast. Now that the spiritual energy in various places is recovering, and the information has been interrupted, we try our best to ensure that Hangcheng resumes communication. Meanwhile, we will. Watching quietly, Lu Zimo's mouth was also slightly upturned. This is Hangcheng live. At present, most of the communication in Hangzhou has been restored, at least to ensure that the public can see this live TV station. And under the guidance of the Spiritual Power Bureau, Xiao Fan also really entered the public. The public who heard the news were still a little unconvinced. However, see is the news announced by the state. In addition to all the strange things that have happened recently, I have to believe it. Finally accepted this result. It turns out that the spiritual energy has recovered, so I said, how could that dog be so big? My God, no wonder, I will awaken the ability. We are so lucky, the spiritual energy is revived, and I am going to become a Superman. Ha ha ha. In the repeated exclamations, but the public gradually became familiar with the extraordinary. However, more people are still immersed in grief. In the end, it was a disaster, and I lost too much. Many people have lost their loved ones. Hangzhou Lingli Bureau, in the director's office. A melodious female voice echoed in it. Lord Director, the document was sent from above. Starting from the night when the aura recovered, it was defined as a new era. Now, we are called from above to lead the people out of the old age and welcome the new age. Hearing this, there was also a smile on the face of the Director General, not surprised at all. He had long known that such a day would come. Therefore, he has already prepared all plans. Well, quickly start the Rising Star Project, to promote the battle video of the extraordinary warrior, especially Gojo's, edit all his scenes in the Warcraft Beast Tide. In the soft narration, the Director General also seemed dignified. Quote. That night, all the staff in the Spiritual Power Bureau worked overtime. Launch the already customized, Rising Star Project. Quietly, countless long articles and countless battle videos were uploaded on Hangcheng's official website. Meet the new era. Some stunned voices sounded in a rental house. A young man sat at the computer desk and clicked on the title under the Hangcheng official website. Suddenly a long text filled the computer screen. The day when the aura recovers, is the arrival of a new era. In the soft whisper, the young man also understood the general meaning of the article. That is, let the people of Hangzhou not resist the extraordinary, but accept the extraordinary. At the same time, in the new era, even if you have awakened your abilities, don't do things that endanger society. You can apply and join the Spiritual Power Bureau. Unfortunately, I didn't become extraordinary, I didn't have the ability to awaken. As he murmured in his heart, a look of disappointment flashed across the young man's face. After all, who hasn't fantasized about themselves awakening superpowers? At the same time, welcoming the new era is also fermenting in the whole Hangzhou. Because not only the official website of Hangzhou City, but also live broadcast platforms, broadcasts, banners, etc. For a while, the streets and alleys of Hangzhou were promoting this event. I've awakened my flame ability and joined the Spiritual Power Bureau. Can I be free from food and clothing? Yeah, in the new era, although I haven't awakened, I feel that my body is much stronger. Hey, it's a pity my friend died tragically in the mouth of the mutant beast. The sound of continuous discussion continued to come. Whether in the new era, we have encountered opportunities, or because of the loss of loved ones, at this time are slowly accepting the concept of the new era. However, it was more than a dozen battle videos that attracted more discussion. At this time, Hangzhou Channel. Dozens of extraordinary combat videos are being played on a loop. And this time on the screen. I see. In a very hot room. A man with a handsome face, his whole body was burning with scorching flames. However, there is nothing wrong with the person, but his expression is still a little excited. He is Fire Fist. In the next second, his eyes suddenly opened, and his hot eyes seemed to have a fire burning in it. Then, a punch hits. Boom. A vain roar sounded, and a huge flame fist was formed directly. It is several meters in size and is surrounded by hot flames. Boom. The flame fist slammed into the wall of the room. Suddenly, there was a loud noise, and the flame fist exploded directly. Countless sparks splashed out, and on the wall, a huge pitch-black crater was left. It is half a meter deep and several meters in diameter. WOC. WOC. So handsome, is this Nima Yanquan? It must be cool. This Nima, who can't see it and pee. It's a pity, the golden right hand of my awakening, except for the strength of the arm, has no effect. Oh my god, brother, isn't your talent not good enough? You don't have the envy of awakening. Repeated exclamations sounded all over Hangzhou. At this time, the picture in the video is not over yet. The flame fist that used a fire fist was still not satisfied. Meteor shower, a loud drink, flame fist, punching countless times in a row. Similarly, countless fire fists condensed out of thin air, each of which was several meters in size. Keep hitting the wall of the room. Boom, boom. A series of roars came continuously, accompanied by the explosion and splashing of Mars. God. At this moment, countless people who were watching the video of Yanquan. When I saw this scene, I was stunned. He was stunned, unable to return to his senses for a long time. Until the end, automatically jumped to the next video. It has brought a completely different feeling to countless people. I saw a woman walking out slowly on high heels. The walking posture is noble and elegant, with an indescribable feeling. She is the queen. But, strangely, there was a card in her red lips. Just when many people are puzzled. Next second. Call out. With the sound of breaking air. The card above the queen's red lips flew out in vain. With a sharp breath. At this time, the lens is also constantly zoomed in. The card actually came directly 100 meters away. Single quote. Single quote. The card was heavily inserted on an iron plate several centimeters thick. WOC. Little Li Fidao. Gone. After reading it, my lower body feels cold. Nima, this power is about to be compared to a gun. No, it's more terrifying than a gun. Look, that card tore a half-meter thick steel plate. In the repeated exclamations, everyone was stunned in the next moment. Because, at this time, the queen flicked her robe. Immediately, countless cards flew out. With a sharp air, flying all over the sky. Stayed. Everyone was stunned. And this video. In the Spiritual Power Bureau, there are dozens of them, all of them are powerful people with extraordinary abilities. For a while, in the streets and alleys of Hangchang, there were exclamations from time to time. WOC. I love the way this pig fights, it's so manly. Fart. The flame fist is the flame, the symbol of a man. I can't laugh anymore. What kind of vision do you all have? I said, Gojo is the coolest in the audience, I don't accept refutation. +1. Face +10086. Hey, why didn't I awaken my talent? I'm really envious. And one of the most popular is undoubtedly Lu Zimo's battle video. The number of hits on Hangzhou's official website is as high as 5 million. The number of hits for the second place Yangquan is more than double. It's just because everyone else did it on purpose. Although cool, but it lacks a sense of reality. And Lu Zimo's video is. It is the cruelest and most realistic battlefield picture. The Lingli Bureau even arranged it to be played in a loop on the big screen of the most eye-catching Hengcheng building in Hangzhou. At this time, countless Hangzhou people stopped in the center of the city and watched this video. For a time, even the traffic was directly blocked. The beginning of the video. It is a scene of countless mutant sea beasts attacking the city. The ferocious and terrifying mutant sea beast, countless people are shocked to see it. Ordinary soldiers and extraordinary warriors fought hard. My God, is this the beast tide of the demon capital? It's really tragic. Fortunately, it didn't happen to us in Hangzhou. Brother, wake up, it happened, but you didn't meet. At this time, in vain, buzz, a roar came. A handsome young man, riding a motorcycle, appeared shining brightly. White hair, blue eyes, it's like looking out of the comics. When countless people scream again and again. The locomotive was driving in the beast tide, and countless mutant sea beasts were all knocked into the air with ease. All the way, the easiest way to come to the center of the battlefield. Not a single mutant sea beast dared to approach. Then, it was the big boss who had taken care of the beast tide with 3 moves, and nailed it to the ground. As the video plays, countless scenes flashed slowly. Ice thorns, ice mountains, ice knives. Until, looking at the terrifying beam of light that ripped apart the battlefield, hundreds of meters. Silence, true silence. Countless Hangzhou people were stunned when they saw this scene. I was terrified and couldn't speak to myself for a long time. After a long silence, a monstrous uproar broke out. My God, is this the power that a human being can possess? Too powerful. Is this our Hangtown Gojo? Other extraordinary warriors, compared with Lord Gojo, are simply scum. The gap is too big. I rub. Is this serious? In the repeated exclamations, countless people's eyes widened. Face full of disbelief. But don't talk about them. Even if the Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau sees this, it is somewhat unimaginable. It's just that this is their first strongman in Hangcheng, Gojo. Terrifying existence. In the true sense, the extraordinary ceiling of Hangzhou City is large. At the same time, outside the Hangzhou Lingli Bureau, several voices echoed outside. Why, just didn't see it, Lord Gojo. Didn't you say, Gojo-sama, work here. Hey, Flame Fist, I've seen it several times, when will my Gojo-sama appear? Several young girls, holding posters in their hands, stood outside the door, eager to see. A fiery look appeared in his eyes. And, the photo on the poster. White hair, blue eyes. It was like a face that came out of a cartoon. It was Lu Zimo. With the advent of the new era, the video of the fight went viral. The stars of the past are gradually receding. However, the real star of tomorrow shines. Gojo, Flame Fist, War Pig. Wait, one by one, the top powerhouse. It has become the object sought after by the people of Hangzhou. Master Gojo, I love you, and I want to give birth to monkeys for you. When I grow up I want to become Lord Gojo, such an absolute powerhouse. I have decided that from now on, Lord Gojo will be a fan of his life. I still prefer Yangquan. Repeated exclamations sounded all over Hangzhou. Among these people, the most popular is undoubtedly Lu Zimo. Whether it is War Pig or Flame Fist. Although the moves are also cool and gorgeous. But compare it to Lu Zimo's fight scene. Horrible beast tide. Gorgeous ice hedgehog. Spectacular ice sculptures. It's just the difference between playing home and reality. The difference is too big. Therefore, Lu Zimo also jumped directly and became the top player in Hangcheng. It really did, and Hangcheng sought after. At the same time, the Spirit Power Bureau, an exercise room. Lu Zimo threw a punch, but he still didn't use his spiritual power or talent. Just the purest physical strength. Woo, woo, woo. For a while, the practice room was turbulent. Next moment. Boom. A vain roar sounded, directly covering the wind. This punch was already a heavy blow to the wall. A huge fist mark emerges directly. It is half a meter deep and several meters wide. Seriously, the ultimate horror. It's not bad, it's finally in perfect control. In the soft narration, the corners of Lou Zimo's mouth curled up. He didn't know what was going on outside. In the past few days, he has been practicing in seclusion, fully controlling every power of his body. Now, the Emperor pays off. With the help of 6 eyes, now Lou Zimo has been able to finally control every force in his body. There will not be a trace of excess power leaking out, and the best manifestation is: when I was in the magic capital, when I punched myself, the floor cracked because of the unintentional leakage of energy. Today, the floor is not only still intact, but also, he only needs to use 60% of his strength. It can reach the power of using 70% of the energy at the beginning. Back to basics, true back to basics. The current Lou Zimo, in every move, seems unremarkable, but it has a more terrifying power than before. And this is the result of Lou Zimo's practice in the past few days, the ultimate control of the body. A realm that no one can reach except Lou Zimo. At this moment, Lou Zimo's phone suddenly flashed. Information coming. Seeing this, Lou Zimo directly picked up the phone. Discussing things. In the soft narration, Lou Zimo also read the content of the text message. It was a message from the director of the Spiritual Power Bureau, saying that there was something very important to discuss with him. Without hesitation, Lou Zimo walked out of the practice room. Although I don't know what it is, I actually want to discuss it with myself. It must not be an easy thing. Therefore, Lou Zimo did not delay. From the practice room to the meeting room, there is still some distance. Encounter countless extraordinary warriors and ordinary staff. Among them, unfamiliar faces occupied the majority. Lou Zimo thought for a while, then figured out the relationship. With the advent of the new era, the Spiritual Power Bureau has moved to the front, and it has also begun to expand and recruit people. But it had nothing to do with him. Lou Zimo went straight to the office without looking back. But, WOC, is that Gojo? Really handsome. I've been here for several days, and today I finally saw Gojo's real face. I can't laugh anymore. In order to see Lord Gojo, I entered the Spiritual Power Bureau. It's been 5 days now, and I finally saw it. Hey, you newcomers don't understand. Lord Gojo, not only is his talent unparalleled, but his level of effort is also the highest in our Spiritual Power Bureau. Amidst the continuous discussions, countless people looked at Lou Zimo excitedly. White hair, black blindfold, blue eyes. It looks like the face that came out of the comics. At this moment, in the fiery eyes of countless people, there is an expression of worship. As the saying goes, a layman is watching the fun. Compared to ordinary people outside, those who already have some abilities can feel Lou Zimo's terror even more. Therefore, it is also more and more worshipped. Lou Zimo at this moment. All eyes are on. A real crowd pleaser. It seems that he has become a star of Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau. Not long after, in the meeting room of the Lingli Bureau. So, what do you mean? Need me to catch it alive, an extraordinary mutant beast? In the soft narration, Lou Zimo's face also showed a hint of surprise. What he never imagined was that it was such a simple thing. Thanks to him, do you think that something big has happened? He rushed over immediately. Extraordinary mutant beast. Isn't that easy to catch? Well, this is for our Hangzhou Lingli laboratory to study the structure of extraordinary life. The chief nodded and looked at a young man behind him subconsciously. Although in Lou Zimo's eyes, it is very simple to capture the extraordinary mutant beast alive. However, in the entire Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau, except for Lou Zimo, who has this strength, even the war pigs are somewhat unqualified. Because, catching them alive is one dimension more difficult than killing them. Only those whose strength surpasses the mutant beast by a large margin can capture the mutant beast alive. And the person who can surpass the strength of the extraordinary mutant beast by a large margin is Lou Zimo. At this time, the young man not far away also stepped forward. Yes, Mr. Gojo, this matter is a request from our Hangzhou Spiritual Power Laboratory. If Mr. Gojo can help us, we are willing to provide him with the latest research energy potions in the laboratory. In the soft narration, the young man also looked at Lou Zimo sincerely. In the depths of his eyes, there is still a touch of fiery. Apparently a fan of Lu Zimo too. He is the second in command in the laboratory of the Spiritual Power Bureau, and he is also an able person. Known as the Hand of God. The awakening is precisely the talent of the hand, which can control all instruments finely, and is more precise and flexible than the machine. This time, the request was not so much from the laboratory, but rather from himself. Because, now the entire laboratory, he is qualified to study extraordinary life. Okay, no problem. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also readily agreed. In the Spiritual Power Bureau for so long, his energy points have not increased for a long time, so he can take advantage of this opportunity to go hunting. Moreover, just after the retreat, he also wanted to see how strong his own strength was. As for the energy potion mentioned by this young man, Lu Zimo didn't care. He was an extraordinary life now. And the progress of these laboratories is still at the entry-level level. How could this possibly catch his eye? Gojo-sama, walk slowly, we'll send the energy potion over later. In the soft narration, the Hand of God watched Lu Zimo leave the conference room. He also saw that Lu Zimo didn't pay attention to the energy potion he said. But, just let me give Gojo-sama a surprise. In the murmur in my heart, the Hand of God can also understand. Today's Lu Zimo has reached an extraordinary level that inadvertently exudes momentum. It all made him terrified, so how could he care about the energy potion researched by an entry-level capable person? But, this time, it may be unexpected for Mr. Gojo. The energy potion they researched this time is definitely. It plays an important role in life in the extraordinary stage. Hand of God quickly returned to the laboratory, sorted out a box of potions, and sent them directly to Lu Zimo. At this time, in an apartment, Lu Zimo was sitting on the sofa, thinking about team candidates. That's right, it's the team. Although, for him, it was easy to capture a mutant creature of extraordinary stage alive. But, according to previous experience, creatures in the extraordinary stage are usually huge in size. At every turn, it is more than 10 meters long and weighs several thousand kilograms. At that time, how to transport it back is a troublesome matter. After all, such extraordinary mutant creatures are now either in the deep mountains and forests, or in the boundless sea. There is a certain distance from the magic capital. So, at this time, someone needs help. The first thing Lu Zimo thought of was the war pig. This guy is like a brown bear, and he can be used as a coolie at that time. But, war pig, as the current Hangchang, apart from Lu Zimo, the only military superhuman must be in Hangzhou. Otherwise, when Lu Zimo left, if something happened to Hangchang, it would be troublesome. Then, Yangquan, the king of food, the queen and Lin Xiaoyi will be fine. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also made a decision. Just in time, when the time comes, you can also hone their combat effectiveness. While murmuring in his heart, Lu Zimo also sent text messages to several people one by one. Yangquan, Shiwang, and Queen, these three are the backbone of Hangzhou Spiritual Power Bureau. Therefore, Lu Zimo also intends to train a few people. After all, it is impossible for Hangchang to stand up alone. As for the war pig, he also saw it, the potential has been exhausted, and there is no possibility of improvement. As for Lin Xiaoyi, as the owner of the ability to slip, with the ability to counteract all attacks, it can be a good monster attractor. And this is actually the result of Lu Zimo's consideration. In this four-person team, Yangquan was a fighter, the Food King was a tank, the Queen was a shooter, and Lin Xiaoyi was a high-mobility person whose dodge point reached full level. If the four of them can cooperate well, there is not necessarily no chance to clean up an extraordinary level mutant creature. If they really are, they can't solve it, and then they will take action themselves. In this way, not only the purpose of cultivating talents is achieved, but also the purpose of capturing extraordinary mutant creatures alive. At the same time, a very high-temperature training room. A suspicious voice echoed in it. Gojo Carrot, invite me. Capture super mutant creatures alive. And you want me to discuss it at 7 tonight. Some astonished voices sounded, and Yangquan's eyes widened. Can't believe it. Isn't this kind of thing easy for Gojo? When you take a me, isn't it just to support him on his hind legs? Yangquan has a clear understanding of his own strength. Although it has reached half a step extraordinary, it is still a lot worse than the real extraordinary creatures. Moreover, he has a clearer understanding of Lu Zimo's strength. Back then, in the beast tide of Warcraft, it was easy to freeze the extraordinary mutant sea beasts. Now, wouldn't it be simpler? Although he was puzzled, Yanquan decided to agree to the invitation. Moreover, the flame fist at this time still has excitement in his eyes. After all, this is Lu Zimo's invitation, who would dare to refuse? This invitation alone has already given enough face. What's more, the big event of catching extraordinary mutant creatures alive. At the same time, not only Yanquan, but also the Queen, the King of Food, and Lin Xiaoyi received news at the same time. From the shock at the beginning, to the excitement afterward. Time passed slowly and it was evening. In a luxurious room, a handsome figure sat on the sofa. White hair, blue pupils, and it's Lu Zimo. However, at this time, Lu Zimo was looking forward in amazement. On a coffee table in front, there is a box. The box is open, and there are 20 potions in it. There is also a label on it. Spiritual Power Recovery Potion, Spiritual Power Training Potion. 2 kinds, 10 of each kind. This Spirit Recovery Potion actually has an effect on me. A somewhat surprised voice sounded, and Lu Zimo also put his eyes on a row of blue potions. I saw that the energy potions in this row showed a dark blue color. On its surface, there is also a strong concentration of spiritual power. Lu Zimo could feel that the energy contained in this energy potion could even replenish 1/10 of his spiritual power. This is kind of scary. You know, now Lu Zimo has reached an extraordinary stage. Moreover, the total amount of spiritual power in the body is extremely terrifying, at least 2 to 3 times that of ordinary extraordinary people. As for the quality of spiritual power, it is 4 to 5 times that of ordinary extraordinary people. And this, all thanks to the strengthening of the system. Not only strengthened his body, but also made his talent better, able to accommodate more spiritual power and condense more pure spiritual power. And just like that, this energy potion can restore 1/10 of his spiritual power, which is what surprised Lu Zimo. But, if the hand of God was here, I would know about it. Absolutely will be dumbfounded, because such a potion was extracted and condensed from a top-quality spirit stone. After testing, it is enough to restore all the spiritual power of an extraordinary first-order warrior. A superhero warrior like the war pig who forcibly lifts himself up, is also rich in. Or monsters like Lu Zimo. Exactly 10, if I drink all of them, it will just fill all my spiritual power. This laboratory is still a bit powerful. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also directly put away these 10 energy recovery potions. As for the other, it's almost useless for Lu Zimo at the moment. The energy cultivation potion actually increases the body's affinity for spiritual power by stimulating the body in a short period of time, so that the speed of cultivation is accelerated. But, for Lu Zimo, it doesn't work at all. Because, after 3 systems to strengthen the body, his physical talent at this time, his affinity for spiritual power, had already reached a relatively high level. However, even if it is useless to himself, he has to admit that this laboratory is indeed somewhat powerful. It has only been so long that they have been able to research these 2 very practical medicines. Because, these medicines are useless for Lu Zimo. However, for other extraordinary warriors, it is a treasure. After all, they don't have the talent of Lu Zimo. So Lu Zimo did not choose to return it. But to prepare these, all the things are distributed to Yanquan and the others. It's 7 o'clock. At this time, dong dong dong. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door. Coming. Raising his brows, Lu Zimo also set his eyes on the door. Come in. Crack. There was a sound, and the door was opened. What catches the eye is a calf, as smooth as jade. Paired with crystal high-heeled shoes, it complements each other perfectly and is stunning. Then, a beautiful figure walked in. Lin Xiaoyi. The perfect figure is matched with a green skirt, like a fairy. The skin on the body is smooth and delicate, like milk. That's the benefit of the slicker. Then, another beautiful figure stepped in. A tall man, long snow-white legs, a hot figure, and a fiery red cloak. Like a queen. This is a completely different style from Lin Xiaoyi. Violent, hot, lipstick on the lips, passionate like fire. As for Lin Xiaoyi, he was more as pure as Xiaojiabiu. However, both are two beautiful landscapes. It can be seen that both of them are well dressed. After that, it was the Food King and Yanquan who walked in from outside the door. The four of them were invited by Lu Zimo to come to the appointment, saying that they wanted to discuss things. Therefore, the Queen and Lin Xiaoyi will dress up carefully. Because, both of them thought they were alone with Lu Zimo and wanted to arouse Lu Zimo. This monster turned out to be stronger again. At this time, the four people who came in were all stunned at the door, looking at Lu Zimo with awe and horror. Because, at this time, they can feel the breath on Lu Zimo seemed to be stronger again. A breath of extreme danger made the hearts of the four of them unable to raise any resistance. What are you doing standing at the door? I have already told you about things. You can come, it means that you have all agreed. So, the first wave of benefits for you is these medicines. In a soft narration, Lu Zimo set his sights on these potions. Several people came back to their senses, but there was still horror in their eyes. However, the four were quickly attracted by the potion on the table. Is this a potion of spiritual power? Some shocked voices came, and the Food King's face changed slightly. Because of his own innate ability, he was invited to do experiments by the laboratory before. The purpose of the experiment is to test these agents. So he also knew the effects of these potions. This spiritual power cultivation potion had increased his cultivation speed by 30% at that time. Just horrible. At that time, as a reward, the Food King also obtained 2 potions. Now, looking at the amount of potions in front of me, the Food King was directly stunned. What is a spiritual power training potion? Some puzzled voices came, and Yanquan also picked up one and observed it carefully. The Food King, his face flushed red, and he explained excitedly, it can increase your cultivation speed. So strong. After Yanquan heard this, his face changed slightly. The 2 women had the same pair of beautiful eyes at this time, full of disbelief. There is still such a magical medicine. Increased training speed. This must be so many capable people, the dream potion. And now, Lu Zimo's meaning seems to be, to give these potions to the 4 of them. That's right, these are all given to me by the laboratory, but they are of no use to me. It just so happens that this time you are working with me, and I will give them to you. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo seemed to be talking about an inconspicuous little thing. After listening, the 4 of them were stunned. Really, lucky, Hart murmured, and the Food King also felt a sense of loss. Because, he did tests for the laboratory and only got 2. Now, just because of Gojo's strength, so many are sent directly. Moreover, these potions, Gojo still doesn't care. Give it to them after changing hands. This handwriting, worthy of being the first person in Hangchang. Thanks, that's enough bro. The grateful voices of the 4 sounded, and these medicines were quickly distributed. Seeing that the 4 people were assigned, Lu Zimo slowly raised his eyes. Now, it's the next question. Now, where are the super mutant creatures? Do you have any news? This is also the ultimate goal for Lu Zimo to gather the 4. Gifting potions is just casual. And these medicines were also specially gifted by the laboratory because Lu Zimo captured extraordinary creatures for them. And now, the 4 of Yanquan are also participating, and giving them a gift is no problem. However, extraordinary mutant creatures are a bit difficult to find. Lu Zimo has been in retreat for the past few days, so he doesn't know much about it. At this time, the 4 were still immersed in the joy of the potion. Hearing Lu Zimo's question, he also began to think. I got the news before that near Tongcheng, there seems to be a series of riots recently. It makes people's hearts tremble. It seems that there is an extraordinary mutant creature born. It just seems a little far away. The Food King answered solemnly. Before he came, he had already done his homework. Guessing that, Lu Zimo invited the question to be discussed. So after investigation, I also know this news. However, Tongcheng is still a little far from Hangzhou. Is it near Tongcheng? Okay, let's stay far away. We leave tomorrow. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also set the time. Today, with the recovery of spiritual energy, most of the mutant creatures are still cultivating in the deep mountains and old forests. Don't come out at all, make trouble. Therefore, it is quite good to be able to appear and discover suspected super mutant creatures. It doesn't matter if it's far away. The next day. Buzz, buzz, buzz. After a roar, 5 locomotives drove out of Hangzhou in a cone shape. Leading the way is Lu Zimo. Behind him are the Queen and Lin Xiaoyi. After the King of Food and the Palace of Flame Fist. The formation of the 5 people at this time is like a steel gun, unstoppable. My God, is that Gojo? And the King of Food, Flame Fist, and the Queen. What is this for? Could it be some kind of special operation? So handsome. The repeated exclamations sounded, and countless people's eyes widened. Look at the 5 people who are unstoppable and break out of the wind. My heart suddenly boiled with blood. Because, this is Hengcheng's top-notch and combat power ceiling. Gojo led the team. Last night, did you hear the roar of Black House Mountain? More than that, I also saw a huge black shadow. Nima was several meters high. Is it a mutant creature again? It's really terrifying. What level is that? Enter the 8th level, enter the 9th level, or, have you reached the entry-level 9th level? Repeated discussions sounded in every corner of Tongcheng. Without a single row, the focus of the discussion was all the strange roars of Haiwushan. Originally, Tongcheng was a small town with a population of only 100,000. Now it happened again. Countless people panic, fear. Therefore, on the streets of Tongcheng, it was sparsely populated, with only a few people. At this time, those who dared to appear on the streets, except for some daring ones, were undoubtedly capable. However, even the capable ones, their faces showed a sense of exhaustion. Live the days of fear every day. Even they can't bear it. At this moment, several beautiful figures came from the street in the distance. People on the street, looking at these unfamiliar faces, curiously forgot the past. At this moment, a young man with eyes suddenly exclaimed, "Isn't this Gojo?" Whoops, as soon as the words came out. Countless figures suddenly stopped, and carefully looked at the person in the lead. Some people even took out their mobile phones, watched the video above, and made repeated comparisons. I see. White hair, black blindfold, blue eyes. It's like the beauty that came out of the comics. It was Lu Zimo. Oh my God. Really? Gojo-sama. Is he here to save our Tongcheng? It's saved, we're saved, Lord Gojo is here. Immediately, there were very few people on the street, but there was a huge exclamation. Now with the restoration of part of the network, Lu Zimo's battle video also quickly spread. Great power. Cool move. Instantly kill extraordinary first-order creatures. And so on, attracting countless fans for him. Now, even Tongcheng has his fans. Gojo-sama, are you here to save us? We, Black House Mountain, have a powerful mutant creature that roars and demonstrates every day. Yeah, if I don't solve it, I feel like I'm going to go crazy and live under his fear all the time. At this moment, the Tongcheng people seemed to have caught the last straw, and frantically requested Lu Zimo. Only because they had already called to the top for help. However, it is also understaffed now. How could a small border town like this be taken care of? But recently, the roars on Haiwu Mountain have become more frequent and intense. Let them also have a faint feeling in their hearts. Almost desperate. Now, the first person in Hengcheng. Gojo unexpectedly appeared here. Gojo's powerful strength. Let them see the hope of life at once. Well, one by one, tell me about the situation. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo was also a little surprised. I never thought that my current popularity was already so high. However, it is good to be recognized. Lest you have to ask yourself for information. Today, these people are the best sources of information. Lord Gojo, for me, there is a mountain in the east of our Tongcheng. It's called Black House Mountain. Since the day when the spiritual energy recovered, there have been beasts screaming every night. In recent days, some people have seen black shadows several meters high on the periphery of Haiwu Mountain. In the soft narration, the young man also looked at Lu Zimo respectfully. Needless to say, definitely a fan of Lu Zimo too. A shadow a few meters high. Lu Zimo looked thoughtfully towards the east of Tongcheng. There is a continuous mountain range. And now, it's almost evening. The sun is setting in the west. Although the sky is still bright at this time. However, the place where the Black House Mountain is located is completely dark because of the backlight. Like a human devouring beast, crawling in the east of Tongcheng, there is the possibility of attacking at any time. Tomorrow, it will be dark soon, and it's still too dangerous, so let's go and find out tomorrow. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also set the time. At this time, he also had some guesses in his heart. A black shadow several meters high is not necessarily an extraordinary mutant creature. It is also possible for creatures to enter the ninth order. However, this kind of thing has to be seen to be sure. The other four, of course, did not have any opinion. And they also know that this is Lu Zimo taking care of them. The so-called danger, that's for them. Especially Lin Xiaoyi. At this time, a pair of beautiful eyes were placed tightly on Lu Zimo's body, and the emotion was about to melt. She herself only has the strength of entering the 5th rank, although she has the ability to slip, her dodge is full. But the deep mountains at night are not something she can bear. Now, Lu Zimo is clearly taking care of her. The next day, Black House Mountain. Countless old trees block the sky and the sun, preventing sunlight from coming in. Therefore, the entire mountain range is gloomy. It looks terrifying. At this time, boom, a sudden roar came from the depths of Haiwu Mountain. Like a thunder, countless forest birds were stunned, and countless leaves were knocked down. Then, in the center of the roar, there was a strong firelight. I saw that it turned out that several dry old trees ignited a raging fire. In the midst of the fire, a charred body was lying at this time. As can be seen from the outline, it appears to be a wild cat. Really vulnerable. In the soft narration, Yangquan also slowly walked deeper into Haiwu Mountain. As for the burning fire, just right to go to the Yinqi of Haiwu Mountain. He has been in Black House Mountain for 2 hours. I do not know how many mutant beasts were killed along the way. However, he still did not see the black shadow that was several meters high in the Tongcheng population. Therefore, we can only continue to go deeper. As for the others, at this time, it has already spread out, just like him. Look for the mutant creature that seems to be of extraordinary level. For example, in the jungle on his left. Around the queen, cards danced around her graceful body. Hum hum. Suddenly, there was a tremor on the big tree not far away. What? The queen, her eyes narrowed, and her voice just fell. Shish. A card suddenly shot out. The leaves and branches along the way were all cut into 2 pieces. Boom. With a loud bang, the card hit the spot where it was shaking with precision. Ow. The next moment, a shrill scream came suddenly. Black blood even flowed out from the trembling leaves. Then, a mass of black things fell out of it. Fix your eyes. The shadow is a black blood-eyed crow. At this time, a card was inserted into the crow's body, and the blood still remained. Obviously, the dead can't die anymore. There is also the Food King, who is constantly eating potato chips at this time, and his body is constantly expanding. Crushed by a terrifying body. Leave a road-like passage. The corpse of a mutant mouse was mixed with it, and the internal organs and the white brain were all burst open. Just like a specimen, it is terrifying just by looking at it. As for Lin Xiaoyi, at this time, under the pursuit of several mutant wild dogs, he continued to display his ability to slippery. Just like skating, traveling through the woods is elegant and wonderful. At this moment, Lin Xiaoyi found the right time. Shish. The knife in his hand fell, and the golden dagger in his hand stabbed directly into the neck of the mutant wild dog. Ow, ow, ow. Suddenly, a mournful howl sounded, and the mutant wild dog rolled on the ground continuously. But as the bright red blood continued to flow out, the movement became smaller and smaller. Soon, the mutant wild dog remained motionless and died completely. What everyone didn't know was that at this time Lu Zimo was standing on a huge tree, quietly observing the situation of the 4. Although he didn't follow them, as soon as 6 eyes opened, the situation of the 4 of them were all transmitted to Lu Zimo's mind under his super perception. This is the eye of the sky, the horror of 6 eyes. At this time, Lu Zimo suddenly raised an eyebrow. Over there seems to be a special spiritual power fluctuation. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo slowly opened his eyes and looked in one direction. That spiritual power fluctuation, how to say? Very special, very weak. But it gave him a very strong feeling. In this case, Lu Zimo probably had a guess in his mind. Notify the other 4 without hesitation. Shizonkang, teleportation, directly towards the induction position. At this time, a few kilometers away, there was a village. Roar. A series of roars continued to sound, accompanied by numerous loud noises of bang bang bang. I saw that a mutant wild boar was in the village at this time, rampaging. The body of the mutant wild boar was 2 meters high, with bloodstains on its huge fangs. In an instant, the house collapsed and was destroyed everywhere. And, even more terrifying, a collapsing wall. At this time a person, Lei Jiao, was hit and fell directly into it. On the path, a person fell into a pool of blood, his stomach burst open, collapsed in, and his intestines flowed out. The whole scene is like a purgatory on earth. I don't want to die. Who will save me? A man screamed in pain, hiding everywhere. But, at the next moment, his voice stopped abruptly. Boom! With a loud bang, this person was directly flew by the mutant wild boar, and was thrown high into the sky. Boom! From mid-air, he fell heavily to the ground, and black blood slowly flowed out from under him. Ah! What to do? Who will save us? Countless villagers wailed mournfully, and despair enveloped the village. Whether hiding in the house or escaping outside, they will be found and caught up by the mutant wild boars one by one. Finally killed it. And this time, a couple, with a little girl, quietly fled along the wall. But, unfortunately, the red eyes of the mutant wild boar have already discovered them. Roar! With a roar, the mutant wild boar slammed into the 3 of them like a high-speed car. What? The woman screamed. She was scared and lost her soul, but she subconsciously protected the little girl in her arms. And this time, the little girl suddenly gritted her teeth and broke free from the woman's embrace. Open your hands and stand in front of your parents. At this time, the mutant wild boar had already rushed up. I'm about to bump into this little girl. What happened? What's wrong? What the hell happened? Amidst the successive exclamations, Yan Quan and the others also rushed out of Haiwu Mountain and came to Lu Zimo's side. Just now, I was still going deep into Haiwu Mountain, looking for the black shadow that was several meters high. But, Lu Zimo suddenly called them over. A few people thought something big happened. He rushed over without stopping, and saw Lu Zimo standing here. However, after hearing several people's questions, Lu Zimo didn't speak, just quietly looked at the village in the distance. To be precise, it was looking towards that brave little girl. Certainly, it wasn't the bravery of the little girl that attracted Lu Zimo. Instead, the special spiritual power fluctuations on the little girl at this time. He was very familiar with that power, and it was a sign that he was about to awaken. At this time, Yang Quan and the others looked at Lu Zimo, who was silent, and also noticed the strange gaze. They all looked over suspiciously. Immediately, the expressions of the 4 of them changed. I saw, a few hundred meters away. The mutant wild boar at this time was only a few meters away from the little girl. At most, it only takes a few seconds for the mutant boar to hit the little girl. And the result, don't even think about it. Miserable. Absolutely miserable. Be careful, Yang Quan shouted violently, his whole body surging with spiritual energy, and he planned to rush over. The other people also had solemn expressions, and their whole body spiritual energy was boiling. I want to save a little girl not far away. Don't worry, let's take a look. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo slowly raised his hand. Suddenly, an extremely cold breath suddenly appeared beside the 4 of them. The originally boiling spiritual power in the 4 people's bodies suddenly extinguished. But, that little girl. The Food King's eyes were red, staring at the little girl in the distance, his face full puzzled. Yeah, Mo, if you don't make a move, that little girl will do. Gojo, Lin Xiaoyi and the Empress couldn't bear to open their mouths at this time. Only Yang Quan remained silent, but he also looked at Lu Zimo with an embarrassed expression, and his heart was full of doubts. The little girl will be fine, just watch. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also put down his hand. Hearing this, the 4 people were puzzled. But Lu Zimo said so. They also have no way. And, in their understanding, Lu Zimo has never been a cruel person, and he will definitely not watch the little girl die tragically. Therefore, Lu Zimo must have his own reasons for doing so. Even if they figured it out, the 4 of them were still worried. His eyes were all tightly placed on the little girl's body, clenching his teeth. At this time, crack, kick, suddenly, a constant cracking sound sounded. At this time, the four people came back to their senses. Looking down at the frost condensed on the arm, it is constantly falling. Forehead. Some astonished voices sounded, but the four of them simply froze in place. Just now, was. Gojo suppressed the four of them as soon as he raised his hand. This idea appeared in the hearts of the four at the same time. Fear, terrifyingly. All four of them had a shuddering feeling. It turns out, just raising your hand gently, the boiling spiritual power in your body is suppressed. Among them, there is a half-step extraordinary flame fist. And, inadvertently, the arm was invaded by cold air, and it was not noticed. The four looked at Luzimo in disbelief. His eyes were full of horror. At this time, boom, a sudden and violent roar sounded from a distance, and a powerful and dangerous aura emerged not far away, conveying to their hearts. What's the situation? The four of them didn't have time to be startled, and quickly followed the sound and looked around. Only see. The little girl at this time, originally black hair has quietly turned into blue silk, constantly flying. Beside him, nameless storms keep emerging. With the little girl at the center, a huge tornado formed. Woo, woo, woo. The tornado continued to condense, like the wailing of a ghost. Around, everything, wood, bricks, wreckage of houses, at this moment, are all spinning in the storm. And that mutant boar, at this time, he was directly crushed to the ground by this terrifying storm. A pair of sharp claws sank deep into the ground, so it was not blown up by the storm. Terrifying fangs, gasping for breath. A pair of blood-red eyes secretly looked at the little girl at this time. And in it actually contains fear, panic. But, with the passage of time, the storm became more and more violent, and the evil trotters of the mutant wild boar were also pulled out from the ground little by little. What? The little girl suddenly screamed, surging with the only spiritual power left in her body. Quote. The power of the storm suddenly intensified. The tornado actually spread directly over a range of several meters. Fear. This is really scary. If the mutant wild boar is only destroyed. So, the little girl's storm is a little scary. Flying sand and rocks, countless broken branches and leaves around were blown up, and hurricanes were constantly whistling. Ah, help me. Even one of them will be swept up by the storm. The whole body was blown desperately by the storm, and it seemed that he was about to fall into the vortex. Just then, a white mist suddenly appeared. The storm force acting on this villager suddenly disappeared. Not only him, at this time, all the surviving villagers in the village. All at the moment when they are about to be blown up by a violent tornado. Saved by a white mist. At this time, under such a violent storm. Swish. The mutant wild boar finally couldn't hold on, it was directly blown into it by the storm. A behemoth 2 meters high and several meters long, under the huge wind. Fly into the sky. Pig as God. Roar, roar. The violent storm constantly tore the mutant wild boar's body. The mournful whine, CDDD, sounded in vain, getting more and more mournful and smaller. Because the mutant wild boar was torn to shreds by this storm. Really good ability. Wind. Also, you have such power just after awakening, so. In the soft narration, Luzimo is also ready to shoot. Current situation. As soon as the little girl awakened her talent, she exploded like this. Now, the scene has gotten a little out of control. If I don't stop myself, I'm afraid. The talent of this little girl will be abolished. Shish. Under the action of Kang, teleportation. Luzimo came directly to the little girl's side. Through a mighty storm. The mighty storm that could tear the mutant wild boar apart. At this time, it had no effect on Luzimo at all. Little sister. Luzimo put his right hand on the little girl's head and stroked it gently. At the same time, a gentle spiritual power came from Luzimo's hands. Moment. The originally strong storm gradually subsided. The surroundings have also turned into ruins. At this time, the little girl was also due to a series of reasons such as overdraft of spiritual power, excessive explosion of talent, and so on. As a result, the body was depleted and the spirit was exhausted, and finally passed out in Luzimo's arms. But at this time, it was not until the storm disappeared and the four of Yanquan came back to their senses. He quickly rushed to Lu Zimo's side and stared blankly at the pale girl in his arms. Is it really her, that burst of power? A very startled voice sounded, and the Food King's eyes widened at this time. Can't believe it, can't even imagine. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he would never have believed that a 7 or 8-year-old girl could burst out with such a powerful force. He felt a little heart palpitations from 100 meters away. At this time, the other three were as horrified as the Food King. This kind of horror is even more. Of course, this is not the power of the storm is too terrible. But because, such a storm was actually set off by a little girl. This is a bit of a heartbreaker. Didn't you see it with your own eyes? In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also looked at the little girl in his arms. S-class. Definitely an S-rank ability. And its elemental ability, wind control. Therefore, it is possible to just wake up, relying on the poor spiritual power in the body. Outburst, such a powerful storm. At this time, the parents of the little girl looked at Lu Zimo and others with fear. Even when he looked at his daughter, there was fear in his pupils. Moreover, not only the parents of the little girl, but all the surviving villagers came out at this time. The group walked towards Lu Zimo and others, with fear in their eyes, as if looking at a monster. Obviously, because of the remoteness and the small village, the network has not been restored. Don't know anything about the new age. Hey, with a sigh in his heart, Lu Zimo also sighed a little. The little girl rescued the villagers here, but if it wasn't for her own appearance, I'm afraid it will be directly identified as a monster. So, this little girl, just follow her. S-level talent, if you cultivate it, you will become an ice girl again. Food King, explain to them. Then take them to Tongchang to settle down. Others, continue to Black House Mountain. Look for extraordinary mutant creatures. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo hugged the little girl and left directly. Yan Quan and the others followed immediately, leaving only the Food King. At this time, the parents of the little girl, although reluctant in their hearts, did not dare to stop her. The Food King did not explain too much, just took them to Tongchang. Why weren't these villagers blown away by the storm? Some doubtful voices sounded, and the Food King stared at the ruins in front of him. Suddenly, the Food King seemed to have discovered something, and his expression suddenly changed. That white mist, isn't it Gojo's? While murmuring in his heart, the Food King also set his eyes on the white mist stained by the villagers. That familiar white mist is Lu Zimo's signature talent trait. So, that is to say, Lu Zimo was 100 meters away, keeping these villagers safe. And still protect dozens of people at the same time. How much strength does it take to do it? As if struck by lightning, the Food King couldn't believe it. At this moment, he once again deeply realized the horror of Lu Zimo's strength. Black House Mountain, on a huge ancient tree. A handsome figure stood quietly above the tree canopy. He has long white hair, slim body, and this is Lu Zimo. At this moment, Lu Zimo put his hands in his pockets and his eyes were tightly closed. It's like I'm feeling something. Wow, Big Brother is so handsome and amazing. A young female voice suddenly came out in the dense forest. It was the little girl just now. At this moment, she stared at Lu Zimo with her big watery eyes, full of admiration. Of course, he is the #1 person in our Hangchang. In the soft narration, Lin Xiaoyi also hugged the little girl. Let her better watch Lu Zimo's figure. The first person in Hangchang. What is that? The little girl tilted her head and asked in doubt. The frowning look is so cute. As a 7 or 8-year-old girl, she obviously couldn't understand the meaning of Lin Xiaoyi's words. The first person in Hangchang. He is a very powerful person. Xiaoyi will become such a person in the future. The queen stroked the little girl's head with envious eyes. That's right, this little girl is called Su Xiaoyi. Under the nourishment of Lu Zimo's extraordinary first-order spiritual power, Xiaoyi's body quickly recovered. Even because of Lu Zimo's pure spiritual power, it circulates in Xiaoyi's body like cleaning and cutting the marrow. It made Xiaoyi's body stronger now. Although this is also due to the awakening of talent, it is mainly due to the role of Lu Zimo's spiritual power. Moreover, after Lu Zimo's investigation, Xiaoyi is not only talented, but also has excellent physical training aptitude. And these things, Lu Zimo also said directly. Therefore, the queen at this time would be so envious. After all, at a young age, when his talent awakens, he can unleash such a powerful storm. Is it okay to grow up? Like a rising star, about to rise. Wow, Big Brother opened his eyes. Why are those eyes blue, so beautiful? The very surprised voice came, and Xiaoyi said with some envy. Hearing this, the others also looked over in confusion. Has this feeling changed again? In the soft narration, Yanquan also showed doubts. To be frank, they also don't know what Lu Zimo is doing. Despite speculation, Lu Zimo is looking for supernatural mutants. It's just looking for it with closed eyes. It's really outrageous. But this kind of thing happened to Lu Zimo. It won't look easy again. It's not easy at all. Because, from the moment Lu Zimo closed his eyes, they all felt a strong mental pressure. But now, as Lu Zimo's eyes opened, that mental stress suddenly disappeared. Instead, there is a sense of voyeurism. The ultimate sense of voyeurism. As if being watched by someone 360 degrees, without a blind spot. It still doesn't work. Mumbling in his heart, Lu Zimo was also a little disappointed. Before, he wanted to use his spiritual power to find out suspected supernatural mutant creatures. It's just, unfortunately, that the current Lu Zimo is only an extraordinary level, and after all, he can't reach this level. Therefore, Lu Zimo decisively chose to open the eyes of the sky. Shish! Lu Zimo's eyes suddenly opened. In the azure blue pupils, there is a condensation of white mist, which looks mysterious and noble. At this time, with the maximum expansion of the pupil of the sky, the situation of the small half of Haiwushan was reflected in his mind, creating a three-dimensional image. Even every powerful spiritual power fluctuation was directly sensed. Very horrible. At this, in the soft narration, Lu Zimo also looked in one direction. There are amazing spiritual power fluctuations. Not only powerful, but pure. Take the movement of the spiritual wave emanating from the flame fist not far away. All are inferior. So, if it feels good, that is definitely an extraordinary mutant creature. Thinking of this, Lu Zimo's heart is also overjoyed, and finally the task is about to be completed. He quickly descended from the canopy and came to the side of the crowd. Come with me, I seem to have found that guy. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo has already taken the lead to move forward. Forehead. Some shocked voices sounded, and Yanquan's eyes widened. Found this, just standing in the canopy for a while. This perception is really scary. While muttering in his heart, Yanquan was also ashamed of himself, and his heart was terrified. Worthy of being the first person in Hangchang, not only in combat effectiveness but also in cultivation. Even this perception is the existence of the ceiling. The other three girls, except for Xiaoyi, who is not clear, are all horrified at this time, and they deeply know the horror. Soon, led by Lu Zimo, everyone came to a cave. Around the cave, there are tall trees that block the sky, completely blocking the sunlight. Therefore, the cave at this time looks gloomy, especially Liao people. Big Brother, there seems to be a pit there, why is it so big? Xiaoyi looked at the ground entering the cave in front of her and exclaimed. Everyone looked at the prestige, except Lu Zimo, all of them were horrified. Because, that's not a cave, but a huge footprint. 50 centimeters. At least 50 centimeters long. In this way, it is conceivable what kind of behemoth the mutant creature in the cave is. Looking further into the cave, it was pitch black. The dark entrance of the cave could not be seen at all. On the contrary, the entrance of the hole, like a beast that devoured people, was opening its mouth wide, waiting for someone to fall into the trap. At the same time, from the cave, there was a constant aura of depression. The breath was heavy and rude, pressing down on Xiaoyi, gasping for breath. Our goal is that in it. In the soft narration, Yanquan has already walked towards the cave. Of course, Yanquan was not stupid enough to go in personally. Just kidding, such a dark and terrifying hole. If there really is an extraordinary mutant creature, go in by yourself, you can't see anything, don't you cut your arms by yourself. However, can't get in. So what should I do next? For a while, Yanquan also stopped at the entrance of the hole, and began to frown and think. Well, you can smoke it out. Lu Zimo nodded, seeing Yanquan's distress at this time. What a great way. Yanquan suddenly became enlightened, and he suddenly woke up. Such caves are generally one way and closed. So, as long as you put out a cigarette, no matter what level of extraordinary creature it is. Presumably the taste of being scorched by smoke is unbearable. Still Gojo is smart. Yanquan couldn't help but exclaim in his heart. Afterwards, he also came directly to the entrance of the cave, ready to take action. In the sudden roar, Yan Fist's spiritual power surged at this time, and flames continued to pour out of his hands. Like a flamethrower, the raging fire kept pouring into the cave. Roar. After a while, a roar came directly from the cave. When Yanquan saw this, a look of joy appeared on his face. The effect is obvious. While muttering in my heart, Yanquan also increased its firepower again. Boom, boom, boom. At this time, suddenly, a huge sound of footsteps came, hurried and violent. The owner of the footsteps seemed to be furious. Even the surrounding trees began to shake. Wow, wow, wow. The leaves were shaking off. Gradually, the footsteps got closer and louder. Like a drum, it hits the human heart. Be careful, get out of the way. The queen exclaimed, because at this time, a huge figure appeared in the flames. Shish, Yanquan's figure flashed, but he was already ready. He stopped the flame output in his hand, left a wall of fire at the entrance of the cave, and came directly to a few meters away. Roar. Repeated roars sounded, and a huge figure broke through the hot wall of fire and came out of the cave. Wow, what a big bear. Xiaoyi raised her head and couldn't help exclaiming. I saw a brown bear appear in front of everyone. 5 meters. A full 5 meters high. A body of hair, as hard as iron, passed through the fire wall, leaving no traces. Ferocious fangs, sharp steel claws, and exploding muscles. Fear. A terrifying aura slowly released from the giant bear. It's just that the giant bear at this time seems to be a little confused by the fire just now. Still screaming at the sky. However, the faces of the Yanquan three at this time changed slightly. Because, extraordinary, this bear turned out to be an extraordinary creature. Yanquan looked at Lu Zimo subconsciously. Because of his presence, he was able to single out extraordinary people. Only Lu Zimo. And he, although he is half a step extraordinary, the gap between them is still huge. He has no certainty at all that he can take down this extraordinary mutant giant bear. At this time, Lu Zimo was no longer there. Yanquan was anxious, looking around. I saw that Lu Zimo at this time had already brought Xiaoyi to a huge tree. With his hands in his pockets, he leaned against the tree trunk, quietly watching Yanquan. Is this for us to deal with ourselves? Mumbling in his heart, Yanquan also instantly understood what Lu Zimo meant. I also understand why Lu Zimo invited them to capture the super mutant creatures alive. Help is fake. It is true to train yourself and others. So, it doesn't matter if he fights or not, let's fight first. Anyway, there is Gojo in the line. In the heart of the murmur, Yanquan no longer hesitated, and the whole body's spiritual power surged. It turned on the ultimate move directly, as fast as fire. Suddenly, the whole body was covered in flames. And this can greatly improve his physical ability at this time. That is to temporarily make the body stronger. Similar to Lu Zimo's body strengthening. However, Lu Zimo's strengthened body is permanent. The strengthening of the flame fist is only temporary. Without the support of those flames, the strengthening effect would disappear instantly. The difference is obvious. Queen, oh no, let's go together, extraordinary mutant creatures, it is not impossible to defeat. With a hello, Yanquan has already jumped to the sky. Not bad, this speed. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also looked at Yanquan in admiration. Now the flame fist, which is in a state of swiftness like fire, is matched with the extraordinary spiritual power cultivation base of the first half step. The speed of the jump just now. It is already no less than the ordinary extraordinary first order. At this time, meteor like fire. With a loud shout, the fire spirit power surged wildly around the flame fist. Boom, boom, boom. Countless punches in succession. In front of the flame fist, one huge fiery fist condensed into one after another. Each one is several meters in size and exudes a scorching flame. Brilliant and cool, subsequently, constantly smashing down on the giant bear. Like a flaming meteor, beautiful and picturesque. Boom. The continuous roaring sound continued to sound, just like fireworks. Countless fire fists, directly covering the location of the giant bear, slammed towards the various parts of the giant bear. At the moment of contact, the fire fist exploded instantly, turning into sparks. For a time, at the location of the giant bear, the trees were destroyed, the earth and stones were splashed, and a scene of fire. Good chance. In the soft narration, the queen also reacted. In the blink of an eye, I understood what Luzimo meant. And, looking at the giant bear that was suppressed by the countless huge circles of flames of the flame fist at this time. Definitely a great opportunity to get a shot. No longer hesitate. It's raining. The cold voice sounded, the queen flicked her robe, and countless cards flew out. Like raindrops, densely packed, dazzling, and every card has a strange brilliance. This is a weapon made for her by the Spiritual Power Bureau with special materials. Fire and water do not invade. Incredibly sharp. After testing, even a 100 centimeter thick steel plate can be easily pierced. Call out. The sound of breaking the air sounded again and again. At this moment, countless cards flew towards the giant bear, driven by the queen. Like a sharp blade, it will cut off all the trees that block along the way. Really, not bad. The power has increased again. In the soft murmur, Luzimo couldn't help but admire. Whether it is the fire fist of the flame fist, or the queen's card. It's more condensed than the power I've seen before, more powerful. But, if only to this extent. Not enough at all. This is an extraordinary creature. While murmuring in his heart, Luzimo also turned his attention to the place submerged by the fire fist again. I see. A huge figure stood in it, and walked slowly forward. Let countless fire fists, cards, be hit on the body. Useless. Not at all. Not to mention blocking the giant bear's footsteps. At this point, not even a delay can be done. Roar. A sudden roar came from countless fire fists. With extreme anger, it shook the mountains and forests. Tread, tread, tread. The earth shook one after another, and the giant bear fled the area covered by the fire fist. A pair of eyes as huge as copper bells, full of bloodshot eyes, stared at the figure in the sky. Fire fist. Anger. Extreme anger. Flame fist's flame attack. Thoroughly angered the giant bear. At this moment, even Xiao Yi, who was far away on the tree trunk, couldn't help shaking all over. Apparently by the momentum of the giant bear. Scared. What? It's unscathed. The very surprised voice came, and the queen's eyes widened. Can't believe it. The giant bear that had fallen after countless attacks had nothing at all at this time. That is her strongest move with Yanquan. In the face of such a behemoth. Extraordinary creatures, the two didn't dare to care at all. As soon as you start, you go all out. The results now are really beyond her expectations. The gap is that big. In the soft narration, Yanquan's expression was particularly solemn. Originally, he thought he was relying on his half-step extraordinary cultivation. With the burst of talent, even if it is impossible to defeat the extraordinary mutant creatures, at least it can bring a little damage to the giant bear. But, wrong. Totally wrong. Looking at the unharmed giant bear in front of him, Yanquan once again clearly realized that Luzimo had 3 moves to kill the extraordinary mutant crab. How terrifying it is. Although, it can't be said to be unscathed. At least, some of the bear's hair has been charred. There are also some cards embedded in it. But, it's just embedded in it. Even the fur of the giant bear did not fall off. Roar. With a loud roar, countless cards fell off one after another. Boom. The next moment, the angry giant bear directly picked up a huge stone and threw it at Yanquan fiercely. Like a meteor, the speed is extremely fast and the momentum is heavy. Don't think about it. If the flame fist is hit, absolutely deadly. Quote. The queen woke up suddenly, screamed, worried. Tread, tread, tread. As soon as the queen's voice fell, the giant bear was already attacking her. Between the 2 steps, the mountains and forests trembled. The speed is not fast, but the body of the giant bear is too huge. In an instant, he came to the front of the queen. Giant bear, I don't want to let anyone go. Quote. The terrifying muscles of the giant bear were surging like horned dragons, and the huge bear paws slammed down. The gust of wind that was set off even moved the surrounding trees, shaking them for a while. At this time, the queen seemed to be frightened. He just froze in place, his whole body was trembling slightly. A pair of beautiful eyes is also swaying at this time. Be careful, a very urgent cry of exclamation came, and Lin Xiaoyi was also stunned by this scene. From the giant bear being submerged by the fire fist, to the giant bear fighting back. Just a few seconds before and after. And now. The queen was stunned in place, in danger. Flame fist is also self-defeating. And she, Lin Xiaoyi. Except for avoiding, it seems that she can't help anything. For a time, Lin Xiaoyi was so anxious that he almost cried. And this time, in the air. This power is really huge. In the murmur in my heart, Yang Quan is also full of spiritual power frantically surging. He could feel an irresistible aura from the boulder. If it is hit, it will definitely be directly blown up. And this, it turned out to be just a random blow from the giant bear. Suddenly, a trembling feeling enveloped Yang Quan's whole body. However, at this time, he was in a state of swiftness like fire, although he was unable to resist. But, wanting to escape is not a problem. Call out. The spiritual power surged, and the flame fist directly turned into a fire and disappeared in place. Successfully dodged the fatal blow. Before Yan Quan was happy, his expression suddenly changed. Quote. This giant bear. In the very angry voice, Yang Quan also discovered the purpose of this giant bear. It's not him, but the queen of the earth. What's the situation? Are you scared? Yang Quan is puzzled in his heart. Because at this time, the giant bear was about to hit the queen. And, the queen, but stood motionless. Get out of the way. With a loud shout, Yan Quan was shocked and anxious. Swish. Fortunately, when the huge bear's paw was about to hit the queen's head. The queen reacted in time, her figure flashed, and she left her position ahead of time. Horrible. The queen looked at the huge bear paw that fell directly with lingering fears. At that moment, she was locked by the chi of the giant bear, and she felt that her whole body was unable to move. That is from the suppression of momentum. Transcendent realm, suppression of entry-level realm. It is also derived from the terrifying strength of the giant bear itself. This giant bear, I am afraid that they are the best among the extraordinary mutant creatures. But luckily, at the moment when she was desperate, there was an icy cold feeling spread all over her body. Is it Gojo? While murmuring in her heart, the queen was also thoughtful. Because of that power, not long ago, she felt. With a wave of Lu Zimo's hand, he directly suppressed the surging spiritual power in her body. And now it's the same, that cold air directly wiped out this breath suppression for her. She finally escaped. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. As this, Gojo's strength. The queen was terrified and subconsciously looked at Lu Zimo. Boom. Suddenly, a huge roar sounded again. The terrifying bear paw of the giant bear fell fiercely. Although the queen dodged, the blow still landed heavily on the ground. For a while, the rocks splashed and bounced like a sword. At the same time, the huge air waves are constantly pouring out. What? Unprepared, the queen was directly blown away by the leaking air. He fell heavily to the ground. Puff. The queen's face changed for a while, and a mouthful of blood was spit out directly. The breath all over his body was extremely weak. The whole person also became sluggish in an instant. Really too strong. Feeling the turbulent internal organs in her body, the queen was horrified. Aftermath. Just the aftermath of a blow. He even directly injured himself. Roar. Seeing the queen who escaped a blow, the giant bear was furious. Waving his claws, he charged up again. How to do? The queen is so upset. Because at this time, she no longer has the strength to fight. Under the blow just now, her whole body seemed to fall apart. Completely out of combat. Quote. Yang Quan shouted violently, waving his fire fist from the air. Dive down. In his eyes, there was a touch of anger. Because just now, he was actually tricked. Played by a bear. Almost killed the queen. And now, the giant bear is still attacking continuously. Unforgivable. Quote. The flame fist was furious, and the flaming fist slammed hard on the back of the huge chest. The flames suddenly exploded on the back of the giant bear, turning into countless sparks. But, useless, still useless. Under the blessing of the state of swiftness like fire, there are countless blows of fire spirit power. Still no damage to the giant bear. Can't say it doesn't work at all. Because the giant bear at this time has turned around slowly. Lock the chi machine on Yanquan's body. In an instant, a terrifying feeling spread throughout the body. At this time, Yanquan finally understood why the queen was stunned in the same place before. Under this terrifying energy, even his whole body became stiff. In this way, let alone a queen who has only entered the 8th rank. Quote. At the same time, the huge bear's paw slammed into the flame fist before turning around. A loud roar sounded, countless trees swayed, as if wailing and trembling. Shish. Fortunately, the flame fist in the state of rapid fire. All aspects of the body's functions have reached the top level. With a flash, he has already avoided several meters. Just when Yanquan was about to fight back. Roar. Suddenly, a huge roar sounded again. Layer upon layer of sound waves, continuously rushed towards the flame fist. Immediately, Yanquan froze. Pupil laxity. What? A painful whimper came. At this moment, Yanquan frowned, his face was ugly, and he subconsciously covered his ears with his hands. Sonic strike. This is a sonic attack. Yanquan only felt that his head at this time, as if being stabbed by a needle. The pain is about to explode. And he, at this time, had completely stopped thinking, and just froze in place. Only to be slaughtered. Quote. The giant bear was also unceremonious at this time, and grabbed it hard. Be careful. The queen let out a shrill scream, struggling to help. But, at this time, she was seriously injured and could not even stand up. He could only watch helplessly, the hideous bear claws ruthlessly grabbed towards the flame fist. How to do? The constant murmurs sounded, and Lin Xiaoyi was so anxious that tears came out. She is only a mere 5th ranker. Can't help at all. Therefore, she was going to hate her own incompetence. Why is she so weak? Why does her slippery ability only dodge? At this moment, Lin Xiaoyi's eyes suddenly lit up. Wait, slippery ability. As he murmured in his heart, Lin Xiaoyi pressed his hands on the ground. In the nick of time. Stab. The giant bear suddenly slipped under his feet, lost his center of gravity, and was about to fall. The sharp bear paw that was originally waving also changed direction, and finally rubbed the side of Yanquan's head dangerously and slid over. Boom. In the end, the giant bear fell heavily to the ground, making a loud noise. Even the ground seemed to vibrate slightly. Ha, it's done. Lin Xiaoyi took a deep breath, and a look of joy flashed in his eyes. Just now, it was she who had an idea and thought of letting the earth lose its friction. Finally succeeded in making the giant bear fall. Only, at this time, Lin Xiaoyi's face was pale, obviously his spiritual power was exhausted. This kind of move consumes a lot of her. But, the effect is also obvious. Ha. What's going on? Yanquan gasped for breath and looked at the giant bear that fell beside him in horror. There was no response at all, and he had just been locked in the gate of hell for a while. However, Yanquan didn't have much time to think. Shish. In a flash, taking advantage of the moment when the giant bear fell, he quickly picked up the surprised queen. Escaped to Lin Xiaoyi's location. Not bad. Oh no. In the soft narration, Lu Zimo also looked at Lin Xiaoyi in admiration. He could even think of making the ground lose friction and finally let the giant bear fall. Although there is no lethality, and the consumption is huge. However, at the critical moment, it is a move that can save lives. Really nice development. But, let's stop here. While murmuring in his heart, Lu Zimo also walked out towards the giant bear. It's time for him to do it. Today, extraordinary mutant creatures are still too difficult for them. It was a close encounter, and the queen and Lin Xiaoyi had already lost their combat effectiveness. Flame Fist is not much better. Although there is himself. To save their lives in time. But such a one-sided battle is meaningless. Boom. A vain roar sounded, and Lu Zimo's body surged with spiritual energy. A cold air gradually filled the air, and the temperature in the forest continued to drop, causing Xiaoyi to shiver uncontrollably. At this time, I quietly saw a very delicate ice skate. It has already appeared in the hands of Lu Zimo. The blade is 1.8 meters long. The blade is blue, hard-edged, under the light of light. Flashing, fierce cold light, point at the giant bear. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.